$100 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's like you, except he's only on number 2. Call Term Provider at 800-700-6898. That's 800-700-6898 for $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with. Call Big Lou at 800-700-6898. 800-700-6898.
Your new kitchen appliances look stunning.
Thanks. We had a blast shopping for them at National Appliance Warehouse. There's over 100 brands in their huge showroom. The best part was knowing everything was at the best price.
You must have done a ton of research.
Oh, we didn't need to. They use a cutting-edge technology called Price Assure. It searches prices online and updates electronic Price Assure tags in real time to make sure theirs is the lowest.
Lower than the big box stores.
Especially them, with much better service, too. And they do it all. Delivery, installation, everything.
National Appliance Warehouse in Wilmington.
Yes, they may not be the closest, but they'll make your wallet the happiest.
The incredible Labor Day mega sale starts now at National Appliance Warehouse. Save up to 33% on select GE appliances. National Appliance Warehouse has an unmatched collection of GE, Cafe, GE Profile, and Monogram appliances. Innovative and inspiring, you'll love GE appliances. Preview the savings at nationalappliancewarehouse.com or visit their easily accessible showroom on 202 in tax-free Wilmington.
Hey, this is Norman Chaikin, also known as Norman the Floorman. You're about the guy who had kleptomania? When it got really bad, he had to take something for it. If it's quality carpet at drastic savings, you need to call me now. At Norman Carpet Warehouse, I stock the largest selection of commercial carpet in the Delaware Valley. And yes, we can install within 48 hours. Call 800-220-RUGS. Call Norman the Floorman to save 50% off our competitor's best price. Now that's not chopped liver.
Hey Philly, are you looking for a great deal on a new Infiniti? Well, look no further than the Bush Auto Group. They have 2 Infiniti dealerships conveniently located in Westchester and Ardmore, PA. And this month only, you can score rates as low as 2.9% on select vehicles. And every vehicle purchase comes with over $3,000 in bonus value to help drive down the cost of vehicle ownership. Trust me when I say this, if you want to ride in style and save some serious cash, the Bush Auto Group's where it's at. Visit in-store or online today at bushautogroup.com, and remember, Philly rides with us.
WPHT, WPHT-HD, WOGL HD3, Philadelphia. Always live on the free Odyssey app. From the Cherry Hill Volvo Studios, where relationships matter. Live and local from Philadelphia. Free speech lives here. It's Kayal and Company on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
And away we go, live on this Tuesday, August 22nd. It is indeed Kayal and Company here on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. We are always live on the free Odyssey app and, of course, streaming live for your video viewing pleasure on YouTube as we head until 10 o'clock this morning. 855-839-1210, the phone number, Twitter and Instagram, the radio station at 1210 WPHT. I am at Nick Kayal, K-A-Y-A-L. Dawn Stensland with the news. Greg Stocker, the chairman of the board. Daniel Valdez, Anthony Torenzo, our associate producers. Just about 39 hours away from the debate tomorrow night. Dawn, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Happy Tuesday.
Did you see Vivek Ramaswamy prepping for the debate yesterday?
Yeah.
On the tennis courts?
Yeah, he's looking good.
Stocker, how you doing, buddy?
What's up?
Tell you what, if the whole political thing doesn't work out for Vivek, I don't know, I think he'd give Djokovic and Federer a run for his money. A couple backhands yesterday on the tennis court. Feet were probably burning. He's volleying back and forth topless. He's a rising star, folks.
Topless?
He was. He was shirtless playing tennis. It's good cardio if you can withstand it. But we got a lot of good stuff to get to this morning. School insanity is returning because it is back to school time. A really cool bar idea in Philadelphia. Also, the absurdity of driver equity laws. Kamala Harris feels like she's being unfairly targeted and treated as the vice president. DeSantis apparently not dead just yet. And dogs are eating passports.
What?
It's crazy. It's mass hysteria out there this morning. It's like Bill Murray back in Ghostbusters. Dogs and cats living together. Unbelievable stuff. And a big take this morning centered around what's going on in Bucks County. But before we get to all of that, let's get round number one of the news because, as Joe Biden would say,
Daddy owes you.
Daddy owes you. And Dawn owes you 4 newscasts per show. So let's get to round one right now.
Where did we get that? Oh, I forgot we had that.
The great Jim.
Yeah.
Jim pulled that for us today. Yeah, so we've got a few new gems to work in, as Joe Biden would say.
Daddy owes you.
Daddy owes you. Kids, if you're listening, just remember, Mom and Dad, they owe you a few.
Oh, boy.
But let's get the news. Round number one. Here's the great Dawn Stensland.
And good morning. This Tuesday morning, it's 22nd, and we are at 74 degrees. Full forecast in just a moment. This morning, we know that one person's dead, 3 injured in an Upper Darby shooting. This is Delaware County. One of those injured victims is in critical condition right now in the hospital. The other 2 victims suffering graze wounds. So police confirming in Upper Darby, Pennsylvania, that this happened about 5:15 last night along the 600 block of Long Lane. Upper Darby police confirming there were 4 people shot in total, and one of those victims, a man, is in critical condition while the others injured sustained graze wounds. So they're saying that this shooting is in connection to the Clifton Heights shooting from last Thursday that we had told you about, some kind of a retaliation. So they're saying up to 100 people were leaving this luncheon after attending the funeral service for a man killed in the Clifton Heights shooting that was last week that I told you about, when officials say video shows the shooter getting out of a dark vehicle, a Chevy Malibu, and then opening fire into the crowd, hitting those 4 victims. So that in Delco. Let's take you to Philadelphia, where police are searching for a driver who was racing during a fatal hit and run early this morning after police in New Jersey took 2 people into custody who are believed to be involved. So investigators say just after midnight, overnight, on patrol, police in the area of Castor and Aramango Avenues saw 2 Dodge Chargers, one blue, one white, speeding down, racing down Castor Ave. So the vehicles appear to be racing. Officers say they saw the blue Charger strike a man, a pedestrian, who was crossing the street, struck by that blue Dodge Charger, and struck while the vehicle, they say, was going at a very high rate of speed and launched this man's body in an eastbound direction. The victim knocked out of both of his sneakers, and then they tried to save him, could not. He died on the scene there.
I tell you what, the infatuation with people in the charged up cars racing still 20 years later, since all those ridiculous racing movies with Fast and the Furious, it just makes me insane.
You hear them everywhere.
I know, it's awful.
It's just
you hear them in the suburbs too.
Yeah.
It's like, it's over, dude. Stop.
Yeah.
It just go 55 and a 45. All right.
So I want to update you in New Jersey on that huge Wharton State Forest fire in Waterford Township that we know had moved to Camden. So firefighters in New Jersey working to put this wildfire out. It burned through at least 1,500 acres of this beautiful state forest in New Jersey Sunday afternoon into Monday. At this point this morning, they're saying it's about 75% contained, thankfully. So they've been working hard on this one. We don't have the cause, although they said that it began around the shuttered Atco Dragway there along Jackson Road. So they've been coordinating those efforts and continuing to fight that fire. I don't have reports of injuries, thankfully.
Did you guys see anything in the air yesterday? I didn't smell anything,
No.
but after my nap, I went outside and it was hot and humid. So I didn't know if it was just the hazy conditions that we had, but I felt like you could maybe the sky was a little slightly altered. Just from my point of view.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, I know with, Camden not too far away. I know I didn't smell anything, but I thought it felt like it was just a little bit like almost foggy out, so to speak.
And speaking of foggy, President Joe Biden in Maui, he was there to finally visit those the death toll now 115 after that wildfire struck there, still searching for in a recovery mission for as many as 1,000 individuals. But President Joe Biden, there was a lot of criticism by the people. I know we'll talk about it moving forward, but using a minor fire story at his house to claim he knows what it's like to lose a home
We have
while
that.
visiting Maui.
Wonder if the floors were hot.
We have that audio. Yeah, both. he just. Yeah, Mr. Sympathy. Sure likes to make things about himself, doesn't he?
Yeah. Talk about being tone deaf with some of your jokes.
Yeah.
Time and place for everything, unless you're a radio host. But when you're the president of the United States, like, come on, man.
Yeah.
You'd be better than that.
As those people suffer. And DJT News, we know that the deadline to surrender that we've been talking about, Donald J. Trump, 18 co-defendants, have until noon Eastern time on Friday to voluntarily surrender to Georgia authorities after being criminally charged in the state's 2020 election case. So Trump announcing he'll turn himself in to the Fulton County Jail Thursday. We'll talk more about that, but I wanted to give you that headline this morning. And the NBC 10 First Alert forecast, if you notice a bit of a change in the air, the high just 81 degrees. So even by noon, yesterday at noontime, we were up to 87, and Nick talked about in the evening the sunset. Nick stepped out, saw that beautiful sunset, but it felt like we were in the 90s, right, with that heat and humidity.
Mm-hmm.
So today, much lower. We'll be in the 80s today, tomorrow, teeing us up, unfortunately, for some rain moving through Thursday and Friday. Kayal and Company News Live.
All right, Dawn, thank you very much. 6:10 here on this Tuesday morning. Let's get to another Big Take.
The Big Take on Kayal and Company.
All right, the Big Take this morning, Brock, Bucks, and battle lines drawn. Meg Brock is fighting the good fight, in my opinion, when it comes to schools and children. You've heard Meg on the Dawn Show. On social media, her profile says left-handed, right-brained. And as Bucks County continues to slide left, I think Meg is right when it comes to the battles being fought in the schools, when it comes to gender, education, and culture wars. We've done a few big takes where I've mentioned Meg Brock here on Kayal and Company, but now she's garnering even bigger headlines. And this war isn't being fought just in Bucks County alone. Yesterday, we mentioned Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin possibly being a dark horse GOP primary late entry after being endorsed and backed by Rupert Murdoch. We know in Virginia, specifically in Loudoun County, they are fighting these battles as well. But we now have Meg front and center in a piece in Politico, which is a left-wing publication. Even though she's not mentioned directly by name in the story, she certainly embodies the theme and the battle that they talk about. The headline in Politico reads, Bucks County power struggle could hint at the shifting suburban politics in 2024. As Bucks County goes, Pennsylvania will go. And as we know, Pennsylvania is a major swing state. Zioli says it's now a blue state, and I tend to agree with him and have so since the results of the 2022 midterms. But Politico goes on to say how Bucks County is one of the swingiest counties in one of the swingiest states in America. We've seen Biden win in Pennsylvania in 2020 and Fetterman and Shapiro victorious last fall. But now it's coming down to a county commissioner's race and could very well be an indicator for the big race in 2024. And now we have candidates sparring over book bans in our schools, crime and public safety at the helm, and the security of democracy in the next presidential election. Now, the Dems captured the county, Bucks County that is, and the board for the first time in 2019 since 1983. I wasn't even born the last time that occurred. So we see the historical context of the victory, which we hope does not become a trend. Here's an excerpt from Politico. Bucks has been embroiled in culture war fights like many other suburbs across the country. Republicans won Central Bucks School District board races in 2021 in a fight in part over mask mandates. But the new majority has also embraced book bans on titles with so-called sexualized content and prohibited teachers from displaying pride flags. Democrats have decried the involvement of the hyper-conservative group Moms for Liberty in Central Bucks, the county's largest school district and one of the biggest in the state. And they argue the school board's new policies spark backlash and sharp protests. Quote, there are definitely Republicans who are motivated by it, but we're seeing in this county the backlash is huge. Incumbent Democratic Commissioner Bob Harvey said, quote, we're seeing a lot of very, very motivated and angry people on our side who just don't think schools should be made into political battles, end quote. Now, there are two names to keep an eye on in this story, and that would be Diane Marseglia and Bob Harvey. Meg Brock knows the names well, as she tweets, quote, of course, there is no mention in this political piece that Diane and Bob are so corrupt that they sue moms over public records. but it provides insight into the dynamics of Bucks County. The past 3 years have been a wild ride with many lessons, end quote. And we always hear about the weaponized DOJ when it comes to Trump and Biden. But how about the weaponized Bucks County government that Meg Brock says has sued her an unprecedented 5 times to hide public records? Somebody tell me why we notify parents of your kid in a school when your kid's at the nurse's office and their tummy hurts, or they get in a fight on the school bus, or there's a bomb threat that's made by your son or daughter. But when it comes to gender identity, we hide that from parents. It makes 0 sense at all. And it doesn't stop there. We have Democratic state senators who are supporting events for kids and adults aged 13 to 21 that feature a drag queen performance and gave dental dams and lubricants to attendees. You can read that story at foxnews.com. Meanwhile, crime and safety are at the center of Bucks County for their citizens, and that's now an issue as well. We've had police chiefs call into our show to talk about the spillover of city crime into the suburbs, and that's trending in Bucks County as well. Bucks has seen an increase of almost 20% in crime after having the first Dem majority in decades. You can see the disturbing figures at broadandliberty.com. Book bans, gender identity, pronouns, all at the expense of test scores, common sense, and non-politicized schooling. Meanwhile, we have Rachel Levine saying this. Take a listen.
I do want to acknowledge that this has been a particularly difficult year for transgender people and trans youth in particular, and their families and their providers. These political and ideological attacks in numerous states are not grounded in science or evidence. Gender-affirming care is essential health care. Gender-affirming care is mental health care. Gender-affirming care is quite literally suicide prevention care. It is based upon decades of study, and it is an evidence-based standard of care. Based upon this history of research and medical evidence, the overwhelming majority of professional medical organizations endorse transgender medicine or gender-affirming care where it is medically necessary, safe, and effective for transgender and non-binary youth and adolescents. Achieving health equity requires valuing everyone, which means making focus and ongoing efforts to end inequalities, eliminate the impacts of injustice, and improve the health for everyone. We have to take a stand. We have to take a stand of those who are being hurt by these ideological and political attacks. Thank you. Those who attack our LGBTQI+ community are driven by an agenda that has nothing to do with science. It has nothing to do with medicine, and it certainly has nothing to do with compassion. The political and ideological attacks on trans youth are contrary to the overwhelming science and evidence that supports the WPATH standards of care.
Science, evidence, health equity. Yeah, okay. How about transparency with parents? And you want to bring up science and evidence. How is being born with a male genitalia and saying you should have been born a female clearly not science nor evidence-based? It's confusion, it's chaos, and it's mental health. But don't take it from me. Take it from Meg Brock. Meg was on the Dawn Show yesterday, early in the 10 o'clock hour, and she had this to say about the battle in Bucks when it comes to the explicit material for children in schools. Take a listen.
I mean, it's not a book ban. There's no such thing as a book ban if you can go and get the book on Amazon and have it delivered to your house and choose to give it to your child. That's not a banned book. I think there's always been educational standards. I think the real question is, why would we want sexually explicit material to be available for kids? I don't understand why anybody, when you look at the pictures and how graphic some of these pictures are in these books, I don't understand why anybody would want children to be accessing that. And I think it really comes down to just having standards where things are reviewed in a way to make sure material is appropriate for kids the same way we have, ratings on movies, right? A teacher can't just show whatever movie they want to in the classroom because there's standards and there's a process of making sure it's appropriate and making sure parents are signed off on that. So I don't understand how a book would be perceived any differently than a movie, right? You can't just show a rated R movie in a fifth grade classroom. So I just don't understand.
It's not about logic, it's about an ideology, and that is what they are trying to push. And it's not just about the presidential election, nor is it about the governor's race, senator races, and the big political chairs. It is about the schools. It is about our children and the future of this area and this nation. And it starts at the local grassroots level. Parental rights matter. Transparency matters. And, oh, by the way, kids belong to parents, not the schools and not the states. And that's the big take.
The Big Take on Kayal and Company.
All right, big take on this Tuesday morning. If you want to jump in on that local story, 855-839-1210 is the phone number, 855-839-1210 to jump in on social media at 1210WPHT. You can get us on YouTube. Just go to youtube.com/@1210WPHT. Hit the like and subscribe button and be a part of the Kayal and Company comment community. We'll come back, get some thoughts on that, as well as a library misgendering gone wrong, and now schools grading on a specific curve. We call it the equity curve. Yes, that's on the way. It's Kayal and Company live here on a Tuesday morning on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
Does your knee pain keep getting worse? How about that pain in your shoulder or hip or your back? Don't let them tell you steroids and surgery are your only option. Take my advice now. Call QC Kinetics. Dawn Stansland here. QC Kinetics can make that pain go away with all-natural, advanced, regenerative medicine. And they're helping people here in the Philadelphia region every single day with these amazing natural treatments which restore and repair damaged joint tissue. It's like turning back the clock. Regenerative medicine uses concentrated healing agents from your own body, which stimulate that damaged tissue in your joints so they can work like they're supposed to. Zero downtime. How about that? This is a remarkable option. You need to check it out, and the consultation's free. Just call QC Kinetics now. 215-999-3000. Would you just call QC Kinetics? Call them today. 215-999-3000. Tell them Dawn sent you.
Do you really want to take shots the rest of your life just to lose weight? NJ Diet's typical results are twice as fast as weight loss injections without any of the side effects. Plus, you'll learn proper portion control and develop healthy eating habits. With NJ Diet's 40-day program, you will lose 20 to 40-plus pounds contractually guaranteed. Lose weight quickly the healthy and natural way. Call 855-5NJ-DIET or schedule your consult today at njdiet.com. That's njdiet.com. That's njdiet.com.
Hi, it's John DeMasi, host of Health Watch, Sunday mornings at 8 and again Sunday afternoons at 4, right here on Talk Radio 1210 WPHC. Are you struggling with things like fatigue, body aches, headaches, brain fog? You may be living with Lyme disease. And this may be true even if you have received antibiotics or your Lyme test was negative. Dr. Molly Fantasia and the healthcare team at Innovative Medical Associates have used medical hydration therapy to help hundreds of patients to reduce symptoms often associated with post-Lyme disease syndrome.
I want to get you through your initial challenge, working alongside with my physicians, and then get you to a place where we are looking at maintaining your immune system, maintaining your quality of life.
Visit innovativemedicalassociates.com to schedule a free consultation with Dr. Molly in their Marlton, New Jersey office. And join us Sunday mornings at 8 and again at 4 to learn more about the benefits of medical hydration.
You're invited to a private showing of the most important movie you'll see in retirement. The Baby Boomer Dilemma is a groundbreaking documentary from award-winning director Doug Orchard. Throughout the film, Nobel Prize winners, PhDs, and esteemed economists expose the cracks in the financial industry that have 401ks, IRAs, Social Security, and other retirement plans on the brink of collapse. After the movie, you'll receive an education that's unlike any other. Learn how to apply the solutions presented by these experts, which align with and validate our proprietary crash-proof retirement system, proven by over 5,000 consumers. Register for this complimentary screening at the William Penn Inn on September 12th and let Crash Proof Retirement provide you the crucial information you need to avoid the baby boomer dilemma that's on the horizon. Registration is required. 800-722-9728 or crashproofretirement.com.
At Cherry Hill Volvo, we are partnering again with our Costco members. Purchase a certified 2020, 21, or 22 XC40, XC60, or XC90 and receive an incredible additional discount up to $1,500 off. A discount added to the unbelievably already aggressive pricing at Cherry Hill Volvo. Join us for this special offer. Cherry Hill Volvo and Costco and you, perfect together.
Your official home for Penn State football and basketball is Talk Radio 1210 WPHT and the free Odyssey app. Listen to every Nittany Lions game on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT and the free Odyssey app.
Don Stensland this morning at 10. Kayal and Company now on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT and the free Odyssey app.
What's the frequency count at the shop? Been so drained. I was pregnant, locked out, not up to speed.
Kayal and Company, 625. Welcome back in. Happy Tuesday to everybody out there. We appreciate you for joining us. Nick, Dawn, and Greg. You're on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. You get us on the free Odyssey app. You can watch us on YouTube. You can tweet us. You can Instagram us at 1210 WPHT. Coming up in just about 25 minutes, a really cool bar idea in Philadelphia with flashbacks of fast food glory days. We'll tell you about that coming up in just a little bit. But I do think it's interesting what's going on in our schools. And, I know, Dawn, you had Meg Brock on the show yesterday to talk about everything that's going on in the Central Bucks School District, in Bucks County, Politico. We get it. We know what they're about. Certainly a left-wing publication. And they really highlight how 2024 in Pennsylvania and, the election and how a lot of this really starts kind of at a grassroots level. But it's just staggering to me when you think about the attempt and the attempts that are made by these school officials, from administrators on down to teachers, to really cover up and hide things when, for the most part, schools are ultimately very transparent. Like I said in the big take, Johnny gets a stomach ache, mommy gets a call.
Yeah.
Bobby punches Billy on the bus. Dad's going to be waiting for you when he gets off the bus at 3:30. A bomb threat. You go on down the list. But when all of a sudden Bill thinks that he should be Susie, that's kept under wraps and away from the parents. Almost like, Joe and Kamala have made it the comment in the past. These are all our children of the community, and anybody with a functional brain and common sense says, no, my kids belong to me, the parent, not you, the state. Oh, by the way, I pay your salaries as well. So I thought you did a great job yesterday. I was listening to you, Meg. I think what she called in like a 10:07 or something like that yesterday. Anytime we go down these roads, I like to highlight it. And it's just wild that she's been sued 5 times.
Yeah.
I got to imagine, her legal fees are starting to pile up, right?
Yeah, and luckily, a core of attorneys decided to represent her. Okay. So thankful, because that's just it. They counted on the fact that she and her husband can't afford that kind of legal defense, and that's what they count on. That they'll just slap you down because they have unlimited resources, taxpayer dollars, basically. And so that it's intimidation. And so, good for her, as well as another mom, Jamie, who said, no, I'm not going to back down. You're not. And also, Nick, as you pointed out, with the Inquirer and the media malpractice going on, Politico, Inquirer, they're leaving so much out, even back from that ACLU case, that revealed so much more, that in fact, it was shown through a major investigation that no, the school did not do anything improper. But they just count on the fact that they can put these narratives and put these headlines up without all of the facts, bias by omission,
Mhm.
and that voters will just say, "Oh, look at that, those evil oh, Superintendent Lukabaugh, what did he do?" And the guy, we played the audio from parents praising him as a hero.
Yep.
Because of what he has done, and not political at all.
I
In
know.
fact, the opposite.
And then, we always hear these words like misinformation. And then you get so many slants and misinformation buzzwords from people like the Admiral, Rachel Levine. Well, this is science-based and this is evidence-based. And, how many times have we played you a clip on this show from whether it's the cut sheet segments or just another segment where we're talking about this gender confusion category where these are only the ones that come out and talk about it that maybe mainstream media omits. All of these individuals that went through this at an early age that regret having it done, how it destroyed their life, how they mutilated their bodies. You only hear that on platforms like this. You don't get that on the mainstream media. And then when you bring it up, it's, well, that's just the rare occasion, or it's almost discredited and dismissed, when the reality is, I truly do believe, it's just my opinion, that if you're born a man and you believe you should have been born a female, there's nothing biologically wrong with you. There's something from the neck up that is short-circuiting or is disconnected that has led to this breakdown of identity confusion. And that's the thing that bothers me the most. And then you have the administrations pushing this, and you have to ask yourself why. I think there's two answers: money and politics. There's a lot of money in gender reaffirming care. We've given you the number. It's going to be like a $32 billion a year business by 2033. And oh, by the way, it's another way for the left to find the next wave of voters in future elections that are on board with this. Because if you're not on board with it, Dawn, you're an extremist. You're a radical. If you think Bob shouldn't be Susie, you should probably be sued by the school district and shouted down at a school board meeting on a Tuesday night at 7 o'clock.
Yeah, you're not inclusive.
Right.
You're mean.
Yes, we're mean. We're mean because we just want to protect our children and say, look, go ahead. If you want to do this at 18 or 21, knock yourself out. But at 13, I don't know that that's the right decision. Seems to me like you're kind of jumping the gun a little bit, so to speak.
Yeah, well said. And Dr. Rachel Levine, of course, here in Pennsylvania, got the promotion through the Biden administration. A couple things with the contradictions. First of all, told the rest of us in Pennsylvania we had to put, sick people with COVID into the nursing homes, which we now know was a horrific decision. But her own mother in her 90s, she moved out into that hotel, remember, right before that was to happen. So that contradiction. Then the second one is that when interviewed, Dr. Levine had stated that Dr. Levine would never have given up the chance to have children because Dr. Levine was once Dr. Richard Levine,
right,
Harvard graduate, pediatrician.
Dick Levine.
And yes, and wife and children. And so why would you deny that opportunity for somebody else?
Right.
Let them become 18. Let them make their decisions. And the third thing I'll say actually is that many from the gay and lesbian community say that this is sort of anti-gay because a lot of kids, when they have this gender issue, they actually just might be gay. They let them go through puberty. In other words, they might be gay, they might not be,
right? But
let them go through the puberty. So I've heard that's an interesting angle. They pointed to research to say this is anti-gay.
Yeah. Which is odd when you think about everything that LGBTQ plus IA stands for. We don't ever talk about gay or lesbian now. It's just the trans segment of the LGBTQIA plus. And I don't want to see any child ever have to go through abuse from their parents, verbally, mentally, certainly physically, certainly sexually. For many years, my ex-wife was a social worker, and she worked in child protective services. And there were countless times where she had to go out and investigate cases of abuse. So if this student is going through one of these issues and you've got one of these, meathead fathers that is abusing the child over what the child said, hey, I think I should be a girl, and all of a sudden he's beating the holy you-know-what, then yes, schools should step in. Yes, child protective services, social workers should be called. But for the parents that are open-minded, for the parents that are tolerant, the parents that just want to get help for their child, I don't think it should ever be hidden from the parent. That's the thing that bothers me the most. If there's a paper trail of issues and the school has that, because schools know about when parents are abusive, guidance counselor office visits, things like that. Johnny had a bruise on his arm. What's that about? Like that, it's kind of their right to do that. But I don't think it's their right to hide it from the parents. And I think that's the one that bothers me the most.
Yeah, and to your point, Nick, they assume that the parent isn't the most loving, supportive person. How dare they do that? In New Jersey, and we've talked about the case where there was that judge's ruling, actually late Friday it was announced, in New Jersey, in Monmouth County, those 3 school districts. I'm going to say this, I wouldn't be surprised by 2024 if New Jersey, and we've talked to Jack Ciattarelli and so on with the governor's race, who's going to run ultimately for governor against Murphy or against whoever goes next. But I just think this is a huge issue, and I think parental rights is also an issue in play in New Jersey and in Pennsylvania. I think, like you're saying, like you started out saying in your big take, which I loved, I think this is the issue. I do. And we have to talk about it, inform parents. Because, Nick, some parents know it's happening. Some will say, Dawn, why are you guys talking about this?
Some people have their head in the clouds. They have no idea.
Yeah. I know Nick's talking about this, but, isn't it just a rare thing? It's happening. Chester County, Delaware County, Bucks County, Monmouth County right now. They've sued these districts.
Yeah.
These parents are going back and forth in court to be able to be told about their child.
I think you can argue that this is one of the 3 most important issues, politically speaking, so to speak, moving forward for whether it's 2024 or any other election season. Number 1, the economy, because everybody's been hit in the wallet. So that affects all of us, right? Except for the elite 1%. Crime, certainly. But then school vouchers, parental rights, everything we're talking about now, you could argue that that takes precedence over the border and security at our southern border. Because, yes, while that certainly affects all of us, and you hope to God that you never end up having your kid ingest fentanyl that came across the southern. But, I mean, this is a issue almost county to county throughout every state, whereas, the southern border hits a certain segment of the country harder than others. Short of the economy and crime in the suburbs, I mean, I would put this over the southern border. I would put this over perhaps maybe even inflation, although I probably would dump inflation into the economic umbrella. But to your point, this has got to be on the short list of many people's talking points and issues.
Yeah, and yesterday I think you had said that you had talked about how we've lost trust in our institutions.
Yeah.
And to your point, government, the media, and now this thought of, okay, they're coming for your children. And they're trying to block communication between you and your child and that relationship that you have, when your little girls, your twin daughters, you go to that parental teacher conference or have the phone call. They want to seem to block all of that in some districts.
Yes.
And I think it goes to that point of just saying, no, we are the government. We will tell you what's going to happen, and you're going to suck it up.
Yep. It's exactly what we're experiencing. No doubt. 855-839-1210 if you want to jump in. And as I like to say on this show, have a take and don't suck. There you go. So let's stay with the school issue for a moment, because this is a crazy story. This is courtesy of The Blaze. And I can almost stop right here after saying this occurred in Portland, Oregon. I feel like all hell breaks loose in Portland. All the radical idea, if they don't come from the Bay Area or New York City, they usually come from the Pacific Northwest. So a Portland, Oregon school district recently issued, quote, new equitable grading practices that will require teachers to not only accept late work without penalty and refrain from giving students zeros, even if they are caught cheating. That, according to documents obtained by the Washington Free Beacon, a new district handout titled Portland Public Schools Equitable Grading Practices Summary highlights the district's rationale, if you can actually even call it that, for implementing a so-called equitable approach to grading students' class performance. They go on to say, quote, historical data shows that there are racial disparities in our pass and fail rate in multiple subjects in both middle grades and high school. During the pandemic, we adjusted our grading to accommodate for some of the inequities in access to curriculum and instruction. This caused many teachers to begin the journey towards equitable grading but has led to a mosaic of grading practices across schools and across the district that is confusing to students and families. We need to organize and consolidate our efforts towards common policies to more consistently and better support students and families with equitable grading. You know, so let's look at this. So during the pandemic, we realized X. Okay, who led the pandemic shutdowns of schools? Randy Weingarten, the teachers union. So this is your creation. You created this problem. Those that are brought up in poor households that don't have internet access or high-speed internet Wi-Fi, that don't have maybe a two-parent household, that don't have a mom or a dad going over their homework with them each night for a half hour after dinner. All of that kind of got squashed by their policies on COVID. But now we're going to give people no penalty for handing in your work late. We're also not going to give you a 0 if we get caught cheating. I remember my 11th grade science biology teacher. I'll never forget him, Mr. Breyer. He was as big as the day is long. He legitimately could not get out. He was Chris Christie times 3. Couldn't get out of the chair. And we would actually cheat by putting answers on the back of the chair in front of us with the student. And you knew if he was getting up, you had plenty of time to cover it up or do whatever. But I still had the fear of God in me that if somebody caught me or my parents found out, I was going to get a 0, I was going to get an F, and there'd be hell to pay. Now we're going to go to the point where we are not going to punish you if you're caught cheating. What world are we living in here? We're allowing you to break the... You know what this is? This is defunding the classroom. It's like defunding the police. Well, you know what? No cash bail. You get out of jail for free card, right? In the criminal justice system now. Now we give you a mulligan if you get caught cheating in the Portland, Oregon school districts.
But ultimately, isn't this a move to get rid of the reports that are not deniable that the learning of children in America is so far down?
Right.
And so now by this, oh, well, it's racist to grade the way we do.
This doesn't
right?
help children.
No.
This handicaps them.
No,
this cripples you.
But it helps the headlines because they can't say, oh, children have never been at, because they do all the test scores. And so they can't say, oh, we've never seen math scores this low or English and math proficiency. That's a reading proficiency.
Yeah.
We've never seen these because we talk about it. And it gives us that level of where our children are. So this will allow them to say, look at these kids. And now we're not going to grade on the 0-100 scale. It's going to be, what did they say, 1 to 4?
Yeah.
Which is, that's crazy.
Yeah. It's like the Oprah thing. You get a car, and you get a car, and you get everybody gets all this. My daughter's in 4th grade now, but I recall last year in 3rd grade and in 2nd grade, they would have plenty of assignments where they would do at home. They would go back in. It would get marked up by the teacher, and they would have a chance to fix it and correct it for a higher grade. I mean, unless I'm drawing a blank here, I don't recall that when I was a kid. Like, if I got a B- or I got an 8 out of 10 or a C+ or a 75 or whatever, that was my grade. And I had to accept it and do better the next time. Like, occasionally in college or high school, you'd have some of these longer written papers where you would get the chance for extra credit or to boost your score. If the whole class struggled on it, then maybe it was the teacher, maybe it was the subject. But when you just have certain individuals that are going to take advantage of the system, I feel like we're raising more victims again. It's like, well, you were just naturally born poor, so that's your excuse for the rest of your life. Forget about like merit and fighting your way out of it and having to work harder, because not everything comes easy to everybody. So let's just make you a victim.
You bring up a great point, because a lot of times in the schools, even my kids, they will have, let's say, whatever they got on the test, that's your grade, like you said. The teacher will go over the test, and they'll have a study session, sometimes not in class. Sometimes they'll say, if you guys want to go over the test, we'll discuss it and go over all the right answers.
Right.
So you have it
for the final exam. Correct.
But then, according to what you're saying with the crazy out left coast situation, they are not going to do a cumulative at the end of the year.
No.
That's crazy.
That would be too much. They can't process all that. Between TikTok and YouTube, there's just your brain can only handle so much stimulation.
What an insult.
It really is. So there's a couple of stories for school right out of the gate as we get ready for back to school. 855-839-1210 is the number. A very cool bar idea in Center City, Philadelphia. The details on the other side. But as you know, I've recently leased a 2023 Ridgeline from Piazza Honda of Springfield, and I absolutely love it. All spring and summer, I've been in my truck. And if you're a truck person like me, now is the time to visit Piazza Honda in Springfield. But if you can't get there, you can also see them in Philadelphia, Langhorne, Pottstown, or Reading because they have 0.9% APR. My buddy Maga Man on Twitter, he's going to be test driving the Honda Ridgeline very soon. Or you can get special rates if you're not in the market for a truck and you're trying to finance a vehicle. How about the Honda Civic, the Accord, the CR-V, the Pilot, and more? This is a great group of people to do business with. That's why I work with the Piazza Auto Group. That's why Dawn does. And they have 17 brands and 35 locations, so you too can do business with the Piazza Auto Group. Check them out at piazzaautogroup.com.
You've probably had some sort of flavored cream cold brew by now because, well, they're delicious. But Frosty has just entered the chat and is about to shake up the world of cold brews, just like it did with desserts. Available in vanilla, caramel, and chocolate, Wendy's new Frosty cream cold brew is a morning maker. It puts other post-lunch pick-me-ups down, and down bad. Try a Frosty cream cold brew today at participating Wendy's and taste for yourself how the perfect dessert also makes the perfect cold brew.
Jalen, over here!
Harley, use your hands.
Ugh, why do you throw so hard, man? That hurts.
Hurts? Not as much as old Windows hurts your energy bills.
Or hurts your home value.
Or hurts your wallet by paying too much.
Take it from Hertz and avoid the hurts. Call Window Nation.
And catch this great deal.
Get 50% off every style window, plus pay nothing for 2 full years. It never hurts to have the very best on your team.
Call Window Nation today. 866-90-NATION or windownation.com.
Call now!
Life can get hectic. It's time to retreat from the noise. Take a breath. Visit Malvern Retreat House, the nation's oldest and largest Catholic retreat house, located on a stunning campus in Chester County. Surround yourself in God's beauty while you step back, reflect, and recharge. Malvern Retreat House hosts men and women's retreats, plus couples retreats, spiritual direction, recovery retreats, and more. For retreat information and schedules, go to malvernretreat.com. Retreat from the noise. Hear God's voice.
So many listeners are enjoying beautiful, easy-to-maintain homes thanks to Rhino Shield, and you can too. Dom Giordano here with my good friend, the local owner of Rhino Shield. John, take it away.
Hello, it's John from Rhino Shield. For years, you've heard about our exclusive elastomeric ceramic house paint with the unheard of 25-year warranty. Today, I want to ask you, do you need to paint your home? Maybe even been putting it off for too long? If your answer is yes, then ask yourself, if you want to paint it one last time, or if you want to be painting it again in 5 or 6 years. Rhino Shield can make your next paint job your last. Rhino Shield is waterproof, protects your home, is affordable, and looks great on any exterior surface. Let Rhino Shield show you how you can be done with frequent painting. Call us today at 484-406-5111 for a free consultation. That's 484-406-5111.
Hi, I'm Mark Luca, president of Aqua Pennsylvania. Aqua wants to help you avoid costly and unsafe sewer backups. Don't flush disinfectant or other hygiene wipes down the toilet. Even flushable wipes can cause backups in household plumbing and larger blockages in wastewater collection systems. Dispose of all wipes in the trash instead. Also, don't flush tissues, napkins, or paper towels, which can also contribute to clogs in pipes. Aqua Pennsylvania, an Essential Utilities company.
I'm getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20.
So am I, because I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
I'm asking about Prevnar 20 because there's a chance pneumococcal pneumonia could put me in the hospital.
Age 65 or older, you may be at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine, a vaccine that can help protect against pneumococcal pneumonia in just one dose. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. Side effects include pain and swelling at the injection site, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
I want to be able to keep my plans.
So I'm asking my doctor about getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20.
Hi, this is Dom Giordano. You've heard me talk with you about my friend, board-certified prosthodontist, my dentist, Dr. Robert Bentz of Bentz Dental Group in East Norriton. Dr. Bentz is nationally, locally recognized as one of the area's top prosthodontists. I stopped in to see him, showed me his 3D printer. We've talked about this before, but they have incorporated it so much in their practice. It really helps him expand his patient solutions, specialize in new ways to help you achieve your oral goals, makes it so convenient. We've talked about in one sitting and all the rest of it, some of the stuff he can do. Now more than ever, too. Local dentists, they refer their patients to him for more complex cases. He loves to be a problem solver. Call Dr. Benz at 610-272-6949. Make that appointment today. He's my dentist, my good friend. He's at your service to get your dental health back on track. Call him with any questions or make an appointment. 610-272-6949.
Hey, Percy, we know your favorite station is Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. Remember to take us anywhere with the free Odyssey app.
Many times I tried to tell you, many times I cried alone. Always I'm surprised how well you cut my feelings to the bone. Don't wanna leave you really, I've invested too much time to give you up that easy, to the doubts that complicate your mind. We belong to the light, we belong to the dark.
Kayal and Company, 6:50, live here on this Tuesday morning, August 22nd. Hopefully all of you having a good start to your work day or your commute. 855-839-1210 is how you climb in. You can watch us on YouTube, as many of you like to do. You can also stream us on the free Odyssey app. Still ahead, coming up in the 7 o'clock hour, 3/4 of Trump's base say that he should actually be on the debate stage. We'll get to that. Also, his new extreme and necessary border measures should he win re-election. That's coming up in the 7 o'clock hour. And also, Kamala Harris says, you know what? There's been a lot of VPs in the past, some not so good, but nobody's had it worse than me. And she'll tell you why coming up as we continue. But as we put a bow on the 6 o'clock hour, I thought this was a really cool story in the Philadelphia Inquirer. When they're not writing about absurd left-wing views, they occasionally have some good stuff for society, for entertainment, pop culture, and things like that. No bartender, no chef, no problem. Tapster has just opened up in Philadelphia, and the headline reads, Tapster opens in Philly with 54 self-service taps for beer, wine, and cocktails. When staffing Tipster, his new Center City bar, Roman Malazewski did not hire a single bartender or cook. Tapster's bar is not really a bar in the conventional sense. It's a wall, not like the wall at the southern border that was partially filled, but it's a wall lined with 54 different taps of beer, wine, batch cocktails, spiked teas, hard seltzer, cold brew coffee, and juices, all of which is all self-service. Such pour-your-own setups have been popping up locally over the last handful of years at such places in Phoenixville, Westchester, Manayunk, Newtown, and now we have one in Center City here in Philadelphia. And I have yet to see this, although apparently Dorenzo has gone. And when I read this story last night, the first thing that popped into my mind was I remember years and years ago, probably in the 90s, the early 2000s, when I would occasionally still frequent a fast food joint. Like, for example, you go to Burger King and you go up and you weave your way up the line, you order, you get your tray, and they give you the empty cup, right? And then before you sit down, you go and you hit the big ice machine, fill up the cup with ice, and then the fountain soda. That's kind of what I was envisioning for this. But I think from a beer standpoint, this is phenomenal. From a wine standpoint, totally great. I would be the little skeptic in me would question the cocktails and the mixed drinks. You know, if you get a vodka cranberry, am I really getting a double shot of Tito's in there, or are they diluting that down a little bit? But Dorenzo, our Center City social butterfly, has actually experienced Tapster in Philadelphia, and he says it's pretty good.
Yeah, I was just out for dinner on, what was that, Saturday night?
Did you take Mary?
Yeah, I was out. Her sister was in town. So
Must have been pretty good. He doesn't even know what night it was. I think it was Saturday.
But yeah, we got dinner, and it actually was right around the corner, and I just thought it looked really cool. They have a bunch of swings. I mean, the vibe there is really cool.
Swings?
Yeah, they have it's almost like
a swing set?
Yeah, it's a table, a normal table, and then it has like 4 bars, and there's chains and almost like wooden swings hanging
Really?
from it. Yeah, it was kind of cool.
Wait, so you're drinking and then you're
Mary,
yeah, well, we were saying that could
Mary,
end
give
badly.
me a push. Can you get me started? I want to finish this Miller Lite.
It could end badly. We were saying that, and but they also have board games. You could turn in your ID to get whether it's Uno, chess, checkers, whatever. They had a bunch of board games, and it's cool because you don't have to spend a ton of money. It's by the ounce. You could get little beers, like little flights.
Okay.
And the 3 of us spent like $50.
So I was just going to ask you, economically, I mean, so let's just say you got, instead of a flight, you grabbed, I don't know, 4 pints of beer. I mean, what are we talking here? $6-7 a pop, or is this like ballpark pricing? Like it's $12 a,
I mean, if you get like a Miller or Yingling, it was pretty cheap. It was like $4, $5 for a pint. But then if you had like a sour, an IPA, anything
Okay.
like that, it was around like $8, $9. So.
And I got to imagine there's like local and micro brews and
Yeah.
craft beers. Like you're probably not going there for a Bud Light, correct?
Yeah, they have a lot of. I think they had.
Did they have Bud Light, by the way?
They had Miller only, and
only.
Yingling, and I think Michelob.
So there's no bartender?
I mean, there's workers there, but technically, I guess no. There was like 4 or 5 staff members there.
So did they
technically-
card you to get in though?
Yeah, you have to get carded, and there wasn't a cover or anything. But
Okay. Here's my only, and I'm always trying to think of what would be one of the issues or the questions here is, usually, and I this is not to throw any shade at any bartenders or waitresses, but I feel like sometimes, they don't do the best job of cutting people off when they've had too many. Do you think safety is a concern because you're going up there and it's just, hey, I'm going to refill. I'm going to drink till I black out. Like, is that a concern?
It's not the bartender's job to cut you off if you had to.
Well, they limit you anyway. There's a
What
card.
are you doing? Take some personal responsibility.
Oh, of course. I'm all about personal responsibility and accountability. But every now and then when you're at the bar, you've seen the guy who's had 5 or 6 doubles, of mixed drinks, and he probably shouldn't walk to the bathroom, much less walk back to his car. So I just don't know if this is a concern where, hey, all of a sudden there's, quote, less supervision, so to speak.
Are you speaking from experience?
No, I drink at home. You know that.
I'm kidding.
I pass out on my couch.
No, but they do have this card. So when you get there, you attach one of your, whether credit or debit, to it's almost like a reloadable card, but you just put the card onto any tap, and it will pour them for you. But it stops after a certain, I think after like 3 drinks total. You have to go back up and re-verify it. So if they think you're too drunk, then I guess they wouldn't re-verify it.
91 LSXer on YouTube says Henry Ruggs loves Tapster.
Oh, dude. Come on, man. For those that don't know, Henry Ruggs was the Raiders receiver that got behind his sports car and I think killed people, and he's in jail now for 3 to 10 years.
That's a sin.
Yeah, I mean the DUIs. Jeez, LSXer.
It's awesome.
He went for the jugular at 656.
Well, I read it, so I'm just as culpable.
Well, I mean, look, that's a tutorial, right?
That's a tutorial on a call.
That's a tutorial on a post in the comment section.
So this, though, is a business model where they don't have to hire a lot of people.
Yeah.
Where it's self-serve.
Overhead should be pretty cheap outside of the rent.
And a lot of times restaurants and bars are a lot of cash. From what Anthony's saying, it's all card.
This is it.
So you, as a business owner, it's a good business model because you avoid any possibility of theft, that sort of thing.
Yep.
No cash register. It's an interesting business model.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's a fun idea.
Yeah.
And they have a lot of screens, like sports screens, huge, big screens. I don't know.
Is it Anthony? Is it a once and done type thing, just experience, or could this be like your spot for like NFL Red Zone Sunday?
No, I'm definitely going to go there a good amount. Like it's pretty cheap, and on top of that, you can play the games, and you could have, you could try a couple beers and only spend like $5 to $10 if you don't have, and it's an easy way. You want to be hesitant on a weekday going and getting drinks. This is a good way. You have a little tiny beer, and that's it.
Gen Zs need need games now. Like remember having
preoccupy us,
just hanging out at the bar,
socializing,
talking.
What do you mean? You didn't play board games?
Put your phone down.
Do we have checkers that we can play while we drink this IPA?
We want to play. Who wants to play cornhole?
Yeah, come on.
I played Uno. What's wrong with playing games?
Mary, can I swing you in the swing?
Can we play
while we drink our sours?
When we come back, we need All-American Rejects, Swing Swing.
Oh, God.
It's
just, oh, my Lord.
Oh, my
entertain
God.
me while I drink.
As I drink my hard seltzer that I could get at the grocery store. I would definitely take advantage of the crafts and the IPAs and the stuff that you might not get in a normal spot. 855-839-1210 is how you jump in. Dawn will have some news on the other side. We also have the dangers of driver equity laws as we continue, and Mary will push Anthony on the swing. It's Kayal and Company, hour 2 on the way on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
I can't wait for what's next. Even with higher stroke risk due to atrial fibrillation and irregular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Eliquis, apixaban tablets, reduces stroke risk. It's the #1 cardiologist-prescribed blood thinner.
Don't stop taking prescription Eliquis without talking to your doctor, as this may increase your risk of stroke. Eliquis can cause serious and in rare cases fatal bleeding. Don't take Eliquis if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or have antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or take longer for bleeding to stop. A spinal injection while on Eliquis increases risk of blood clots, which may cause paralysis, the inability to move. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding or unusual bruising, or if you have tingling, numbness, or muscle weakness. It may increase your bleeding risk if you take medicines such as aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners. Tell your doctor about all planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
When you need to know, depend on KYW News Radio 103.9 FM.
One person is dead and 3 people are injured in an Upper Darby shooting Monday night. Firefighters in New Jersey are working to extinguish a wildfire that burned through about 1,500 acres of the Wharton State Forest Sunday and Monday. American Sha'Carri Richardson has won the women's 100-meter world title.
Get the latest anytime on KYW News Radio. Now on Crystal Clear 103.9 FM.
You've never needed us more.
WPHT, WPHT HD, WOGL HD3 Philadelphia. From the Cherry Hill Volvo Studios, where relationships matter. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
This wasn't how Patrick pictured himself in retirement. Instead of playing golf every day, he could barely walk because of his severe knee pain.
It hampered everything because it hurt to walk around the golf course. It hurt to swing, just pretty much hurt doing anything.
But the groundbreaking regenerative treatments at QC Kinetics changed everything for Patrick. QC Kinetics uses your body's own healing properties to help repair and restore damaged tissue in your knees, hips, back, and shoulders. No surgery, no drugs, no downtime.
The turnaround's been amazing from where I was to where I am now. I've gone from a 15 handicap down to a 7 handicap. That's because my knees allow me to play golf like I haven't been able to play probably in 15 years.
Don't let joint pain keep you from doing what you love. Call QC Kinetics today for your complimentary consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 215-999-3000. That's 215-999-3000. 215-999-3000.
Free speech lives here on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
And on the free Odyssey app.
Hour number 2 of Kayal and Company here on a Tuesday morning, 7:02. Welcome back in, Nick, Dawn, Greg, Anthony, Daniel, as we head until 10 o'clock this morning. The cut sheet's coming up at 7:45. A couple of good gems on there, so stay tuned for that. Also, what the latest polling numbers show for Donald Trump and debating, as well as Kamala Harris and the criticism that she receives. We'll get to that before we get to the cut sheet. But let's get some news as we kick off hour number 2, 7:03 on this Tuesday morning, and we go to the great Dawn Stensland.
And good morning on this Tuesday, August 22nd, 74 degrees, sponsored by Wawa this morning. So we know that police have in custody a 19-year-old this morning, a 19-year-old driver in custody as Philadelphia police search for another driver who was racing during a fatal hit and run that happened early this morning. So Philadelphia police say actually the officers on patrol in the area of Castor and Aramango Avenues saw these two Dodge Chargers, one blue, one white, speeding down Castor Ave and racing. Officers say they saw the blue Charger strike a man while he was crossing the street, striking him, killing him, his body launching in the air, and the car going at a very high rate of speed. So the latest here is that as Philadelphia police sent out the description of the blue Dodge Charger, police in Pennsauken, New Jersey, over the bridge, spotting a vehicle that matched the description. And that's when they pulled over the vehicle, which had the front end damage, took the driver, who's 19 years old, as well as the driver's passenger, into custody. So no charges as of right now. Still searching for the driver of the white Dodger.
Boy, I wonder if that falls under these driver equity laws, which will be a story we get to in a couple of minutes. Very interesting.
Yeah, you're right. They pulled the car over in Pennsauken.
Okay.
So
yeah.
Thank goodness they went over there.
Yep.
Talking about the wildfires that have been striking our region, South Jersey, 1,500 acres burned in the Wharton State Forest. Firefighters working on this since Sunday afternoon. Brutal 24/7 as they've tried to knock these flames under control. 75% contained as of this morning. Joe Biden heading to Hawaii, to Maui, as residents there grieve and try to recover. We've talked about that as he did not receive a warm reception. Some attendees along the Biden path as he visited Maui holding up signs, no comments.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll talk about Hillary, the first tropical storm to hit Southern California. Obviously, a hurricane downgraded to the tropical storm, but the first to hit Southern California in 84 years, sweeping people into swollen rivers, toppling trees onto homes, flooding roadways as this massive system moves northward, prompting warnings, all kinds of watches, especially flood watches, in more than a dozen states at this point, now threatening Oregon as well as Idaho.
Did you see the visual images in the still shots and the videos of Dodger Stadium in Los Angeles?
No.
Completely engulfed and surrounded by the flooding waters. And I saw many conservatives on Twitter, if you recall, remember the nun protests at Dodger Stadium?
Yes.
And a lot of people were saying, don't anger and don't mess with God.
Oh, my goodness.
But it's real. I mean, like, you think Los Angeles and you think of certain natural disasters, you don't think of floods, right? And you see the whole baseball stadium just completely swallowed up by water.
I didn't
Very
see
scary.
that.
Yeah, you got to check it out.
And we've talked about as well the deadline to surrender. Donald Trump in the news, 18 co-defendants have until noon Eastern time this Friday to voluntarily surrender to Georgia authorities. This is, of course, they were criminally charged in the state's 2020 election case. So Trump announcing he's expected to turn himself into the Fulton County Jail Thursday. There are a lot of headlines about fingerprints and as well as mugshots. Nick Kayal talking a lot about that. But there is a story yesterday and this morning saying that any Trump surrogates, such as DJT Jr. and Kimberly Guilfoyle, who formerly worked for Fox, they're going to be banned Wednesday.
Is that right?
Oh.
Because I saw on Twitter yesterday that Trump Jr. was going to be there in his place, and the word surrogate resonates with us because we talked about it on Monday and Friday. We were thinking, oh, maybe he's going to send Byron Donalds or Matt Gaetz or somebody else from Florida. So now we've got a ban on that as well. So if you don't show up, you don't get to have anybody in your place.
How about that?
You know what? I don't hate it. I don't mind it. If you're not going to go, I don't want to see somebody there puppeting for you, you know? Like, I mean, I'm not saying Trump should be there. I told you, I think strategically it's the right move not to be there. But I don't need somebody there keeping the seat warm.
I don't know. I think it adds to the...
Oh, it definitely would add to the...
yeah,
from a viewer standpoint, from content, yeah.
From the production side of it,
of course, yes.
It adds to the soap opera drama that this is so unbelievable.
Selfishly, I would love it, but yeah.
And I apologize. It's 6 a.m. We were talking about so much news. I forgot to talk about the awesome outcome of our Phillies offense running like a machine, dominating against the Giants. 10-4.
They're back to winning? We're making winning great again. All right, Phillies, let's go.
Woohoo! So Bryce Harper's inside the park home run was the Phillies' first since JT Realmuto's in the 22 NLDS, 10-4. I mean, so opened up this 9-game homestand last night. Prime opportunity to create space in the National League wild card race.
Yeah, I still can't believe JT had that inside the park home run last year. Like, you don't expect a catcher of all people to have an inside the park home run because usually they're typically slow runners.
Well, he's exceeding expectations.
There you go.
He didn't have that. What was that grading? Equity grading or something in school that you talked about?
JT Realmuto always had his papers handed in on time.
I love it. I didn't hear much about that facial recognition that they launched yesterday.
I guess it was smooth sailing for the most part because if there was issues, somebody would have had the story on a blog or on social media.
So we are sponsored this morning by Wawa. It's Sizzly time at Wawa, and you know what that means. All your favorite Sizzlies, just 2 for $5, like their new pancake Sizzly. Great mornings start at Wawa. NBC 10 First Alert forecast. Refreshing. 81 degrees for your high today. We're in the mid-70s now. Lower humidity today, tomorrow. Thursday and Friday, we start to warm up and some showers in the forecast. Kayal and Company Newsline.
All right, Dawn, thank you very much. 7:10 here on this Tuesday morning. It's Kayal and Company. So I've talked about this a little bit in the past, the possible issues that these driver equity laws would create in Philadelphia. I'm not focused on your feelings and not pulling you over or not enforcing the law out of the fear of alleged discrimination. And they actually, in realclearpennsylvania.com, lay out a great breakdown of the danger of these driver equity laws. And they go back to this story. I just want to read this for you, and then we'll get a comment or two in here. They go on to say, this was written by William McVeigh. In the early morning hours of March 30th, 2022, an innocent victim was suddenly attacked while he was putting the trash out at his place of work in Bensalem along Street Road. I think it's right over by Parks Casino. The victim ran for his life, but was eventually caught by his attacker. He was viciously stabbed over 50 times as he tried to resist. The assailant fled as the victim struggled to stay alive in the parking lot. He then returned in a vehicle, ran the victim over twice, abducted him, and drove off. Bensalem police received a 911 call about 6 hours later when an employee arrived at work and discovered clothing and blood in the parking lot of the business. Over the next 48 hours, the Bensalem Police Department, with the assistance of the Bucks County DA's office, the FBI, and the Philadelphia PD, worked diligently together to solve this case. The victim was identified as Michael Pickens, an employee of a local restaurant along Street Road. The initial investigation led police to believe that the attacker was Dominique Harris, a former employee of the same restaurant. Through use of video surveillance, license plate readers, and intersection cameras, Bensalem police were able to determine the route Harris fled in his vehicle with Pickens as he headed south to Philadelphia. Information was shared with surrounding jurisdictions, and Harris's vehicle was entered into the National Criminal Intelligence Center as, quote, wanted by the Bensalem police. A Bensalem patrol corporal discovered the deceased body of Pickens in the brush along the Cornwall Heights Park and Ride, where Harris had dumped the body of Pickens as he fled after the murder. Within 24 hours of the murder, two 35th District police officers in Philadelphia stopped a vehicle driven by Harris. Harris's criminal acts and his vehicle's involvement were not known to them. They stopped Harris for improper display of the vehicle's registration plate. They observed fresh blood stains on the vehicle and in the rear seat. They then checked the identification number and discovered that the vehicle was wanted by Bensalem police as part of a homicide investigation. Harris was arrested and charged with murder. But prior to his trial, Harris's attorney attempted to have all the evidence located in Harris's vehicle suppressed on the basis that the initial traffic stop was in violation of the City of Philadelphia's Driver Equity Ordinance. This ordinance prohibits officers from enforcement of 8 minor traffic offenses, one of which is improper display of a registration plate. That motion was rightly rejected by Judge Raymond McHugh in the Court of Common Pleas of Bucks County. Harris was later found guilty of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison. The question is, what would have occurred if this case was held in a Philadelphia courtroom? Would the motion to suppress the car stop and all the evidence discovered therein have been granted? Would that be considered justice under the law? These are exactly the things that I'm talking about with the absurdity of these driver equity laws, whether it's in Philadelphia or any other jurisdiction throughout this country that decides to implement them. So we're not going to stop you for one of 8 possible offenses in fear of you claiming discrimination, prejudice, racism, or unfair treatment, when not all the time, but certainly in this case and other instances, when you pull somebody over for one thing, you end up finding out that they're guilty of committing another thing. And we're not going to do this or allow this in a city like Philadelphia, where you could pull somebody over regardless of race, regardless of religion, or any other identity, politic measure or category. You pull somebody over for speeding. What if they have crack? You pull somebody over for a failure to signal. What if they're under the influence of alcohol? Or in this case, what if they have blood or firearms or any type of other issue in that vehicle, and we are just going to allow it, which could lead to somebody else being harmed down the road because of feelings and DAs and political agendas? This is to a T, Dawn, what I'm talking about with, like, this is why we have to, and you're either a law and order society or we're not. The selective application of it does not jive with me.
And you think about it, the public records showing the rate of fatal hit-and-run crashes in Philadelphia increasing by 45%. And what are we, a year and a half, not even?
Mm-hmm. And you just gave us a hit-and-run story where the guy got knocked out of his shoes.
And you know, to your point, think of all the pedestrian incidents that we hear about, and that is on the rise.
Yep.
You're exactly right.
Yep. I agree.
Lawlessness.
855-839-1210. If you would like to jump in on the conversation, you can also get us on YouTube. Just go to youtube.com/@1210WPHT. We'll see on the other side maybe if we are trending in the right direction for Stalker to approve of the likes and the subscriptions as we continue. Coming up next, 73% of GOP voters say he should do it. We'll get to that when we continue. Kayal and Company, Tuesday morning. Back after this.
Hi, this is Joe Mederchik, PNC Bank Regional President. PNC Bank, we're committed to making a difference in the lives of our customers and communities by helping them move forward financially. As a Main Street bank, we try to do right by our customers with every encounter. Our local teams offer personalized financial advice to help guide you in making the best decision. We're proud to be part of the Philadelphia, Delaware, and Southern New Jersey communities. PNC Bank. See how we can make a difference for you at PNC.com. PNC Bank, National Association, member FDIC.
Hi everyone, this is Stephanie Kelly from Emmons Roofing and Siding, and I have some exciting news to share. Emmons has partnered with SunPower, the top-rated home solar company in New Jersey. SunPower has been leading the solar industry for over 37 years and is the only U.S. solar company that's lasted longer than their 25-year warranty. Kill the bill, the energy bill that is. Imagine no more high energy bills, while all the while helping reduce your carbon footprint at no cost to you. It's a win-win. Yes, we now offer solar, but remember, if you need a new roof, siding, doors, windows, or interior remodeling, don't wait. Right now, Emmons is offering all 1210 listeners 10% off roofing, siding, and Anderson windows. And we are continuing to offer 12-month same-as cash financing. And don't forget that lifetime warranty on your roof. Give us a call today for a free estimate at 856-885-6677, emmonsroofing.com. Roofing, siding, windows, doors, kitchens, baths, and solar. Trust Emmons to be your first and last stop for all your home improvement needs. emmonsroofing.com.
Hi, this is Dom Giordano. Do you feel like you're always looking for another energy boost? Then try Rescue Orosine from Rescue Natural Supplements. As we age, our bodies don't tend to produce enough natural fuel to get rid of that stubborn feeling of fatigue. Well, Rescue Orosine provides just that. Orosine helps by boosting energy production at the cellular level, while also supporting a healthy heart and blood pressure. Right now, our exclusive radio listeners can buy one bottle of Orosine, get another one free. Just use the code FUEL when placing your order. Call today, 800-26-ALIVE, 800-262-5483. Speak to a knowledgeable product consultant or use the code online. when you visit res-q.com. That's res-q.com. Make sure you mention the code FUEL, F-U-E-L, when you call, or use the code at the online checkout. Again, use the code FUEL when buying a single bottle of Oracine to receive a second bottle free.
Hey, this is Norman Chaikin, also known as Norman the Floorman. 2 hats are sitting on a rack. One says you stay. I'm going on ahead. No kidding, folks. If you're responsible for buying carpet for your company or organization, you need to call me now. I stock the largest selection of commercial carpet in the Delaware Valley. And yes, we can install within 48 hours. Call 800-220-RUGS. Call Norman the Floorman to save 50% off our competitor's best price. Now that's not chopped liver.
If the market volatility of the past year has made you nervous about your retirement future, you're not alone.
So many people are waiting for the perfect time to retire. And those folks are going to be waiting a really long time, I hate to say, because there's no perfect time. The market is always unpredictable and volatile.
But that doesn't mean that it's hopeless. Jim Cipriotti has been helping people get to, through, and beyond retirement for over 20 years. And each week, he wants to help give you that freedom to retire. Listen to Freedom to Retire with Jim Cipriotti, now on Saturday mornings at 9 on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
How are you feeling this morning? How about that knee pain? Is it getting worse? How about that pain in your shoulder or your hip, your aching back? So don't let them keep telling you that steroids and surgery are your only options. Not anymore. Take my advice now. Just call QC Kinetics. Yeah, QC Kinetics can make that pain go away with all natural advanced regenerative medicine. And they're helping people here in our region, across Philadelphia, across Pennsylvania, every single day with these amazing natural treatments which restore and repair damaged joint tissue. It's literally like turning the clock back. Regenerative medicine using concentrated healing agents from your own body which stimulate that damaged tissue in your joints so that they work like they were supposed to, like they used to. How does that sound? And zero downtime. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in this exciting medical breakthrough, and patients here across our region, South Jersey, Pennsylvania, Delaware, they're getting real lasting relief and saying no to surgery, no to drugs. So if you're suffering in that pain due to injury or maybe arthritis, it's a remarkable option for you. You got to check it out. And the consultation is free. Just call them. Call QC Kinetics today. 215-999-3000. 215-999-3000. QC Kinetics. 215-999-3000. Tell them Dawn sent you.
We know your favorite station is Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
What's on the cut sheet coming up? 7:45 this morning as we continue Kayal and Company here on a Tuesday. Nick, Dawn, Greg, Daniel, and Anthony. 855-839-1210 is how you climb in. Kamala Harris says she gets more media scrutiny than her predecessors. We'll get to that story. And also, how and why Hunter Biden was spared in a prosecution. That story as we roll along. But we're on the eve, so to speak, of two very interesting debate setups tomorrow night. 9 o'clock on Fox News, we are going to have the 8 Republican primary candidates that will be in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And those 8 do not include the name Donald J. Trump. Trump will actually, as you know, be doing his own sort of televised, so to speak, conversation. He will be joining Tucker Carlson on Twitter because Trump does not feel like he needs to debate at this point and perhaps won't even debate all season long. But before we get to this polling result, I have not seen the specifics of Trump and Tucker yet. And I've tried to look for it the last 2 days to see if this will actually be live.
No, it's not
No.
live.
So it'll be a taped Tucker on Twitter episode.
They taped it already.
Yeah.
They taped it already. Yeah. Okay. Now, will that will drop? I'm assuming at 9 o'clock on Twitter.
Well,
because I was wondering if there's an advantage of him doing it earlier, like 7, 8 o'clock, and you kind of steal the thunder, so to speak.
Yeah, I would think they would probably do earlier, not at the same time.
Okay. Because if
that's how I would program it.
Right. Because if it comes out at the same time, you're going to have some people that just watch cable news. You're going to have some people that don't have cable, cord cutting, don't have Fox News, but certainly are on Twitter, so to speak, and, consume it that way. So I think strategically the placement of it will have a little bit of an effect. But, at the end of the day, if you want both, you're going to get both, no matter how you have to do it. But a vast majority of GOP voters now saying that Trump should be at the debate, which I find interesting because I think most Trump supporters are aware of his polling numbers. And if you missed it yesterday on the show, we read you Trump's post from Truth that said, quote, "New CBS poll just out has me leading the field by legendary numbers. Trump 62%, 46 points above DeSanctimonious, who is crashing like an ailing bird." So you've got Trump at 62%, 46 points back at 16% is DeSantis. Ramaswamy at 7%, Pence at 5%, Scott at 3%, Haley at 2%, Christie at 2%, Hutchinson at 1%. He goes on to say that I therefore will not be doing the debates. But according to the latest polling numbers, 73% of GOP voters are overwhelmingly of the belief that Trump should be present at this first debate, which I find interesting, again, because we've never seen poll numbers with this wide of a margin. We are at the point where it feels like it's almost a certainty that Trump will be the nominee, yet most people, and I don't know what 73% of GOP voters actually entails. Is it just people that vote Republican, which is what you would think? I mean, how much of that is the MAGA base? How much of that are conservatives? How much of that are rhinos, so forth and so on? But 3 out of every 4 saying that they believe he should partake in this. And I'm of the belief right now that strategically he's making the right decision today. But I do think at some point you have to get back in the ring, even if it's just to reintroduce yourself and remind people of what Greg has said many times on this show. This is the venue and the environment that he flourishes in. There are some people that are much better off in a phone booth, behind social media, not taking live questions, not being in that adversarial setting. If there's one man that thrives in a debate or maybe in a courtroom setting where it's adversarial in nature, it's Donald Trump. So you got to think ego and the fact that, hey, I'm really good at this. Eventually I'm going to come in there and I'm going to hammer Ron and Ramaswamy and Christie and everybody else. Are we of the belief that he will get in at some point?
No.
No.
I don't think he's going to. I don't think there's going to be any debates
on either side.
I don't think he's going to debate in the primary, and I don't think him and Joe Biden are going to debate in the general.
Okay.
I could be wrong.
Okay.
But I'm probably not.
You've been accurate with a lot of this. They go on to say that 35% say they would definitely tune into the event if Trump was on it. 34% said they would probably watch, and a combined 31% said probably or definitely refrain from watching.
Well, that's what I don't understand, why people don't want to see him in these debates, because this is like, they like to see him speak. They like to. This is where he shines. Why wouldn't people want to see him in a debate?
Can you be of the belief that he should debate, but yet you personally don't want to see it? Like, yeah, I think Trump should absolutely get out there, but I tell you what, I've had my fill. I already know what he's going to say. Can you be of that belief? Which I find interesting.
Well, there's a lot of people on the YouTube chat are questioning like the sample size of this poll and how many were actually Trump supporters and blah 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 blah.
Because it does say GOP voters, which doesn't necessarily mean that everybody is pro-Trump. But again, you have these polls. I mean, like we say, take them with a grain of salt. It's 2,000 people here. It's 750 people there. Eventually they do all add up. So if there is a theme and a trend, you would like to think that's the way it will ultimately play out. But then again, we saw the 2022 midterms, and short of Florida, the red wave really did not happen. So figured we would share that. And then lastly, on the re-election front, top Trump advisor Stephen Miller unveils a tough anti-migrant tactic for a potential second administration. And this comes off of DeSantis saying about the cartels, and we will take the fight to them. And if they cross the border, they're dead on arrival. You know, DeSantis has a couple of these very cutthroat phrases that he uses with his military background, which I actually like. Some people think he should maybe dial it back a little bit and not be so colorful. But when it comes to the southern border, I think you have to be absolute cutthroat and brutal, because the cartel, they just lured a man into a fake job interview and then beheaded him on camera. I'm not sure if you saw that story from the weekend, but you had some individual in Mexico who shows up at what he believes is a job interview. And then next thing you know, he's basically in an ISIS hostage video being beheaded. Like, the cartel are just brutal. They're poisoners. They are with the fentanyl. They're terrorists. They're savages. And I don't think anybody on either side of the political spectrum, if they have this level of a plan to make this country safe, I don't think it's over the top. But here's what they say. So they're going to go take a very hardline stance against leftist migrants who would no longer be allowed in the United States. Stephen Miller, senior Trump advisor, says a second Trump administration would construct more wall on the border. Okay, so that's a given. Extending the floating barrier on the Rio Grande, and deploy a naval blockade against drug traffickers, which I am absolutely on board with. This rollout comes after U.S. Customs and Border Protection revealed just 3 days ago that agents processed 183,000 migrants in July, which was an increase of 33% over the month of June. So remember, all the Title 42 ended, May 11th, somewhere between May 11th, May 15th. We saw numbers go down a little bit, surprisingly, in June, and then it ticked right back up another 33%. You know, COVID cases go up 8%. It's plastered across the news.
Yeah.
Border crossings go up 33%. You won't hear a peep about it. It's remarkable, right? Remarkable, those numbers.
Yeah.
So I would take it one step further. In addition to the naval blockade, we have all this intelligence. We have drones. We have all the possible information we could have. Find out where these cartels are. Make sure you avoid the non-corrupt Mexican government officials. Make sure you avoid as many civilian casualties as possible. And just send in a drone and wipe out some of these absolute savages. That's what I would do. I think that's what DeSantis might do. I think that's what Trump would do. Joe Biden, Alejandro Mayorkas, sanctuary cities. Come on in.
And no talk of the missing 85,000 children that they know were processed.
None.
And somewhere in America or wherever.
Yeah, just hanging out at rec centers, playing hopscotch and basketball.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they're doing. And that's what they're doing.
God only knows.
That's correct. 855-839-1210. The phone number. The cut sheet's coming up at 7:45. And guys, listen, we got to dial it back on Kamala Harris. Do not criticize the Veep. She's not as bad as some of her predecessors. The details on the way. Kayal and Company, Talk Radio 1210.
Volvo Finance, in concert with Cherry Hill Volvo, is offering lease and cash bonuses up to $2,500. Purchase or lease a new XC40 or XC90 through Volvo Finance and through Cherry Hill Volvo and receive this additional bonus along with the aggressive pricing already posted on our Cherry Hill Volvo website. This is a special offer and it is not to be missed. Volvo Finance and Cherry Hill Volvo and you, a perfect partnership.
Ah, summer. Time to head to the pool, hit the links, and enjoy some Phillies baseball.
It clears the out-of-town scoreboard by a couple of rows. Bryson Stott has put the Phillies on top.
With the free Odyssey app, you can stream every Phillies game on 94 WIP, no matter what you're doing this summer.
JT's in at second, and he's hit for the cycle.
Get in the game and download the free Odyssey app today. That's AUDACY.
You're out of breath. Have a constant dry cough that won't go away. It could be interstitial lung disease. ILD is rare, but it's serious. It can be the fight of your life. And you can't face the fight of your life if you don't know you're in it. Ask your doctor. Find a pulmonologist. Get answers. There's hope. There's help. But don't wait. Go to lungsandyou.com/fight-ILD.
Your official home for Penn State football and basketball is Talk Radio 1210 WPHT and the free Odyssey app. Listen to every Nittany Lions game on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT and the free Odyssey app.
Here's retirement phase expert Phil Cannella with today's report.
While Wall Street's markets continue to go up and down with no guarantees of going forward, many concerned investors have been tempted by the idea of guaranteed income for life. Although it sounds desirable at first, guaranteed income products are not what they're cracked up to be. When you purchase a guaranteed income product, the first thing that happens is your investment immediately becomes less liquid. There is no principal to tap into when an emergency strikes and you need to make a lump sum withdrawal. With these contracts, your scheduled payout is a set specific amount based on your life expectancy. This amount does not keep up with inflation, which paints you into a corner later in life when your monthly income has less purchasing power than it did the day you signed the contract. Now, in most cases, the monthly income payments are structured to exceed your life expectancy, making it a whole lot less likely that you'll ever receive back your initial investment amount before death. Lastly, there is no legacy or estate planning with these guaranteed income products because they're meant to go away at your demise without leaving a dime to your heirs. It's best to avoid a product sale whenever possible. By utilizing a system of investments, however, with guaranteed income capabilities, you can mix and match vehicles that pay a lifetime income with others that are designed to grow principal back and still give you access or increases of income. Seek out a qualified retirement phase expert who can offer the best of both worlds and provide a legacy plan for your heirs, guaranteed.
To hear more reports that will impact your financial future, join Phil Cannella and Joanne Small this Saturday at 11 a.m. on the Crash Proof Retirement Show, only on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
Be sure to follow Talk Radio 1210 WPHT on the free Odyssey app. Download it now.
Daddy owes you.
Kayal and Company, we owe you another 2 hours and 25 minutes as we roll on. Nick, Dawn, and Greg. The cut sheet coming up 7:45. Also this morning, 9:20, another opportunity for you to secure a 4-pack of tickets to the Reading Phillies.
What?
Coming up
Nice.
Labor Day weekend.
Yeah.
American holiday, America's pastime, future Phillies greats.
I hear Reading is lovely this time of year.
I hear Reading is always lovely. I've had some friends that have worked in Reading, and they have stories.
Yeah.
855-839-1210 to climb in. Also, after the cut sheet this morning, one bigwig says, don't throw dirt all over Ron DeSantis just yet. He's not dead, buried, or gone, as Stalker has been saying. And also, one conservative outlet charging a Republican candidate for coverage.
What?
I did not know that was a thing. I've had my suspicions and my speculation over the years with the media, with the way they cover certain people, but did not know it came down to the almighty dollar. But apparently that is the allegation, so we will get to that story as we roll on. But one person who does not have to pay for coverage, but might want to actually pay for positive coverage, is Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
Yes. So the Veep thinks that she gets more media scrutiny than her other predecessors as Veep, saying, quote, I think that is the case. Vice President Kamala Harris telling our favorite publication, Politico, that she thinks she gets more media scrutiny than past vice presidents in a new interview. Which, by the way, at this point, I don't know why anybody would interview Kamala Harris. We've heard the word salads. We've seen the sound bites. We've seen her relegated to this, mitigated to that, from the southern border to artificial intelligence. There's nothing new to learn about Kamala. And once we heard Politico say year 3 would be the breakout year for the Veep, and she's going to emerge from the shadows of Joe Biden, and 6 months has gone by, and she hasn't emerged from anything, I think it's time to put the whole Kamala content on ice if I'm a left-wing publication like Politico. But they go on to talk about how she receives more media scrutiny than anybody. Harris agreed with the premise of a question that she got in an interview with the outlet that was published yesterday, according to Politico Playbook. Quote, this is Kamala, I think that is the case. It's what it is. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, it's not fair because, I am not new to these things. She said in a response to a question about, quote, whether she faces more media scrutiny than her predecessors as VP. So she still sounds very unburdened by what has been. In the Playbook write-up of the Harris interview, the author suggested criticism of the vice president was not typical in past administrations, which I would love to just sit down with any of these interviewers or writers or authors that pose these mind-numbing, tone-deaf, historically clueless questions. I mean, think about this. Mike Pence slammed. Dick Cheney was destroyed. Dan Quayle. You go on down the list. I don't know many vice presidents on really either side that haven't been crushed. Although I will say, and maybe I'm speaking ignorantly here, I don't remember Joe Biden being destroyed as Barack's VP nearly as much as I do Dick Cheney. I mean, Dick Cheney was a running parody bit on SNL in the early 2000s of the Bush administration. Conservatives quickly jumped on the Playbook's claim, noting past criticism of VPs such as Pence, Cheney, Quayle, and others. Joe Biden, Al Gore also routinely came in for criticism and ridicule from the right as the two most recent Democratic vice presidents before Harris. I certainly remember the Al Gore stuff. I'm trying to remember because it was he's dead now, but he played Clinton on SNL. He was killed by his ex-wife. What's his name?
Phil Hartman.
Phil Hartman played Bill Clinton. I don't remember who played Al Gore on SNL, but he was also a walking punchline. So Kamala Harris saying that, I get it more than anybody else. Well, it's because you might just be the worst of all time, and approval ratings reflect that, much like they reflect Joe's approval ratings. So this is nothing to do with you being female. This has nothing to do with you being African American. This has everything to do with every time you publicly get out there to speak, you embarrass yourself with the word salads and the long-winded answers. I mean, like Greg has always said, she's the one who tries to stand up in front of the classroom and give the book report synopsis from somebody that did not actually read the book. And I think that is, she talks about shattering glass ceilings. I mean, she shattered a lot of things. And I'd hate to say it, but I really do think maybe moving forward, people will think secondly about VPs and identity politics. Although, I will throw this caveat in there, the Republican Party, even though much better qualified candidates, it does look like we are playing the identity politic game. Nikki Haley, Tim Scott, Vivek Ramaswamy, all very good, exponentially better than Kamala Harris. But it does look like, hey, there's checking of the boxes. So wanted to get that story out there. Quote, there is a lot that is about the vice presidency that is just taking some stuff off the plate of the president. That is Kamala Harris's quote in this interview setting with Politico, which I find interesting because, like, Joe's plate, it's not really full. Like Joe doesn't have, like, the turkey and the stuffing and the mashed potatoes and the biscuit and the green bean casserole. Joe's got a little bit of salad on his plate, and that's about it because Joe works 4-hour days. He works noon to 4. So I don't know what little scraps that Kamala gets, but she was given the border. She failed that. She was dubbed the czar of artificial intelligence. She's supposed to combat that. And, most recently, we've played Kamala Harris in interview settings where she's doing, like, man-on-the-street interviews where she's wearing the same business suit as the man interviewing her. I forget who that was that we played, like, a month ago, but that was hilarious. They look like they, color coordinated their wardrobes together. And, of course, she does all these other softball landing spots. So I don't think at all anybody is unfair when it comes to Kamala Harris. Have we ever been unfair on this show to Kamala Harris? And I'll ask you, Dawn, as a female who fights for female rights, and I would think, politics aside, like, Yeah, all right. Yeah, we have a female as VP. That's kind of an accomplishment, right? That's a milestone. But you know what? Every time she opens up her mouth, it's fair game.
Yeah, and both of them, it doesn't even matter the idea. Both of them are ridiculous and incompetent. Both of them together. Really. Biden yesterday telling the story of about almost losing his Corvette and his cat and the fire and that.
Well, that's a big loss. That's where the documents were.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, you don't have the documents without the Corvette.
Both of them, I don't know. It would be better to hear that both of them are maybe smoking something like Joe Rogan or something.
Exactly.
Both of them just are out of it, out of touch. Has she been to the border? What has she done? That was her job, right? Everything she's allegedly assigned to do it's a failure.
Yeah. Hasn't been sober gives us a great word. He says Kamala is the goofiest and deserves scrutiny. I think that's a great, if you could give me one word beyond incompetent or incoherent or inept, any of the I's, goofy would really kind of sum up Kamala Harris. She's a goof. And she's not afraid. I mean, when you start laughing all the time as you're giving answers to serious questions as kind of a crutch or a pivot to get to your talking points because you feel uncomfortable perhaps in that setting, or maybe, and again, maybe, I have no idea. This is just, allegedly. It's like what substance is she on? Does she smoke weed? Is she taking a pill? What is it? Because I don't find anything funny about any of the questions that she's ever asked other than the fact they are very softball questions.
Yeah.
She told Politico, quote, "I have a very keen and very deep sense of understanding of the significance and the weight of the decisions that the president must take and make. And it is important to me as a partner to the president."
Oh, partner.
There's another partners. I don't know how Doug feels about that, but, she goes on to say, "That's when I'm there and when we're getting briefed on something, that every aspect of it is made clear in that room and that people aren't sugarcoating something for the sake of, I don't know, what, because the decision will have impact." That's a quote right there. I have no idea what that quote means, but she's gone through staff members, writers, people. I mean, they've churned out the staff 2 or 3 times in her less than 3 years. So
it's a hot mess. And what's up? I'm looking at her tweets within the last 48 hours. She keeps saying, Joe Biden and I, since we took office, we helped create more jobs. So I would be careful about being the partner and owning this disaster,
right?
With regard to our economy.
On this Tuesday is brought to you by Cherry Hill Volvo, where they have ample inventory of brand new and beautiful pre-owned Volvos. Enjoy the luxury experience you deserve. They always go the extra mile for their customers because relationships matter at Cherry Hill Volvo. Check them out on Route 70 in Cherry Hill. Cherry Hill Volvo, where relationships matter. Yes. Joe Biden toured Maui yesterday. I think he was there for a whole 4 hours.
That's his shift.
So, not everybody was very excited to see the President of the United States. A lot of Maui residents saying too little too late. I believe this is a, let me just look at my notes here. This is a MSNBC report about Maui residents are lining the road amid Biden's visits with signs saying he's too late. This is cut 9 here.
Over to my right, there are a bunch of people out here. They've been here for hours. A bunch of them are protesting. They have their makeshift signs, cardboard signs, a lot of them saying, as we've been talking about, that he's too late. Some of them feel that he should have been here much earlier. Other signs that say actions speak louder than words. So hearing a lot from the people here, as well as Hawaiian flags.
Wow.
I've been to Hawaii. I went in 2006. They are the nicest people on the planet. They are very low-key, mild-mannered. They're patient. They will not beep at you if the light turns from red to green and you don't move for 5 seconds because you're texting on your phone. So the fact that they are this mad over this, which they have every right to be, really goes to show you the gross negligence of this administration. I don't know if it was a soundbite because I didn't click on it or if it was a sign, but I did see something yesterday to the effect of it only took 13 days and then a big FU below that.
MSNBC, more from that report. They are unhappy with the local, state, and county response, but also the perceived lack of communication from federal officials. Cut 10.
But also expected to meet a little friction. Not only are people unhappy about the local and state and county response and about the speed of it, but also about sort of the perceived lack of communication from federal officials, including the president, who took a while to make a statement that was substantial. So there may be, as we may expect, a protest or two when the president arrives.
A protest or two.
Mostly peaceful, I hope. Mostly peaceful. It's a remarkable, there's two things that bother me about communication. It's one thing if you're a terrible communicator, but you're paid to communicate. That really bothers me. The thing that bothers me the most is when you're in politics, communication's a big thing.
Yeah.
I mean, this is about messaging. This is about narrative. This is about spinning things. This is about saying what you need to say to put yourself in a good light. And this administration, on top of even some of these local officials, I don't know what it is right now. It's almost the Democratic Party in general is just, I've never seen them collectively worse as public speakers. And there's just a level of arrogance of, we don't need to tell you more than what we tell you. Or in this case, whatever we told you, that's what we could offer up at this time. It's staggering.
Joe Biden got to Maui and joked about how hot the ground was. Because, that's funny. Cut 11.
You guys catch the boots out here? That's a hot ground, man.
That's a hot ground, man.
Not a joke, man.
It's a hot ground, man.
Yeah, man. Even Mayor Pete with his boots can feel the heat coming through his toes.
That's a hot ground, man.
Joe, there was just wildfires. And there was just all kinds of stuff that were burning. Could you imagine if, like, a volcano erupted and Joe was there? Man, this ground is hot. I shouldn't have worn my flip-flops today.
This is the clip that we've been referencing all morning about him telling the story where he starts off by saying, I don't want to compare difficulties, but, and then tells a story about losing his house in a fire, which I don't believe he lost his house in a fire.
That's just Joe.
According to a 2004 AP report, it was a small fire contained in the kitchen that was under control in 20 minutes.
Right. He overcooked his grits.
But this is Joe. This is Joe telling that story. Cut 12 here.
I don't want to compare difficulties, but we have a little sense, Jill and I, what it's like to lose a home. Years ago, now 15 years ago, I was in Washington doing Meet the Press. It was a sunny Sunday, and lightning struck at home on a little lake. It's outside of our home, not a lake, a big pond, and hit a wire and came up underneath our home into the heating ducts, the air conditioning duct. To make a long story short, I almost lost my wife, my 67 Corvette.
Oh, no.
And my cat. Oh. But all kidding aside.
I lost Mr. Bigglesworth.
I watched the firefighters, the way they responded. There's an old expression. I grew up right across the street from a fire hall in Claymont, Delaware.
And Scranton.
And the expression is, God made man, then he made a few firefighters. You're all crazy, thank God.
Yeah.
The only people who run into flames to help other people. And they ran into flames to save my wife and save my family. Not a joke. The smoke, and the firefighters here can tell you sometimes smoke is so thick from the windows out, it was that thick inside the home. And we were insured. We did not have any problem, but being out of our home for a better part of a year was difficult. I can only imagine what it's like to lose your home.
Oh, my God. And then Joe concluded by saying, God save the Queen, man.
God save the Queen, man.
You know what I'm saying? God bless those firefighters for sure. But
this is so embarrassing.
I was getting ready to go on with Chuck Todd on a Sunday morning 20 years ago, and my eggs caught fire, and I almost torched the house and the garage and the Corvette. Dude, like, you had a grease fire in your kitchen, basically. Stop. It's not the same as a whole city losing, what, 1,500?
Yeah. Thank you.
My God.
He seems to for being the most compassionate president, we hear that all the time.
Yeah.
He really seems to turn people's tragedies into
Mhm.
himself. Like
He
making
always
them
tries
about
to be like
himself.
relatable, but it comes off as egotistical and me.
It's,
right?
People in Hawaii don't want to hear
No.
that. They want to hear how are you guys going to help us get back to
Right.
where we need to be?
Correct.
This is these $700 checks or whatever it is won't cut it.
Nope.
How can you help us I don't care about what happened to you 70 years ago.
Mhm.
Some grease fire in your house.
Yeah.
Like, tell me how you're going to help me today.
I think we've all had that one friend where you share like a story of some hardship that you're experiencing.
Yes.
And like midway through your story, where it's about your story, your time, and your agony, your friend makes it about them.
Yep.
Well, actually, yeah, I can relate to you because one time, and then boom, they take over, and it's like, dude, you just stole my moment here. Like, I was trying to tell you what I'm dealing with.
Yeah.
It's not always about you.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. He's getting roasted for that as
He
well.
should be. And he sounds very tired. I know Hawaii's a long flight,
It's
but
just
Can you get
let me
some-
tell you a story about me in 1957.
Yep.
There was a grease fire. And
Mhm.
It happened, and
Yeah. And then he hits us with the
Not a joke.
hey, like it's always the same stuff.
Yeah.
It's like a bad rerun. Like I've seen episode 5 20 times now. I don't need to see episode 5 season 2 anymore.
Yeah.
But anyway.
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 Guy.
I think the fact that they openly were, holding up those signs
Mhm.
that certainly he and or the administration can see, no comment.
Yep.
They were not happy. And in the clip that, that Greg was playing on the cut sheet, you see the people around him and their reaction.
Mhm.
Just kind of shaking their heads in disgust and kind of looking around at each other like, where's he going with this?
And meanwhile, you've got East Palestine, Ohio saying, I don't know what you guys are griping about. 13 days. We would have killed for 13 days to see Joe.
172 days.
172.
Yeah.
There you go.
Still no president of the United States there.
Not that we're counting.
Kaylee McEnany slammed Trump for
Hey!
dodging the debate.
All right.
She called it a huge political miscalculation.
Mm.
Cut 3 here.
Big night, obviously, Bill, on
Huge.
Wednesday.
Huge.
The indication is former President Trump will not be here. And the takeaway I have from that is this is a huge political miscalculation, I would say, for him, for 2 reasons. You give others the opportunity to shine. You give others 2 hours to throw lobs at you. And I know former President Trump can dance across that debate stage, can defend himself, but you're not there to do it yourself. You're counting on maybe others to step in. And I think the biggest strategic risk for him, if he becomes the nominee, Joe Biden, this is from Politico, just a flashback earlier in the year, senior Democrats' private take on Biden. He's too old is the title of the article. And they say that the Biden folks believe Trump or any other Republican nominee will be reluctant to work with the Commission on Presidential Debates, lessening the chance and risk of a head-to-head debate between Biden and whoever the nominee is. So Biden can say, I'm going to use the Trump precedent here. I'm not showing up. My internal polls show I'm up. So why come?
Okay, so a couple of things to react to from that. One, she's entitled to have that opinion, as many of you are. If you're disappointed, angry, or you think it's a strategical mistake, that's fine. I don't believe it is. But I do think if they take part in this Fox debate for 2 hours, and she said, well, that gives all of his challengers 2 hours to throw up lobs at Trump. I think that will be a strategic failure by all of those on Fox News, because if you make this whole 2 hours about Donald Trump and not about Joe Biden and not about the actual issues at hand in 2024 of making our lives better, then they will all have failed, and Trump could even win even more, because you had the opportunity to fix the country without me there gasbagging, and you still didn't do it.
Eartho writes on the YouTube chat, do they still think Trump cares about nonsense? Okay, let's play this game for a second.
What nonsense?
If Trump didn't care about this, why would he go on with Tucker Carlson the exact same time? Obviously, they're both trying to stick it to Fox, and the other So to say that he's not concerned about this, like, obviously he is, or he wouldn't have calculated. He would have just ignored it.
Yes. Trump,
right?
Trump does not like the way Fox now portrays him in some spots. Although I think Fox is just not being a Trump apologist. I don't think they don't dog him by any stretch. But, he doesn't like, well, why would they use that picture of me versus another picture? But I think this is more, if we're talking about who's got the bigger vendetta to settle and score here, it's Tucker Carlson. I mean, you're going directly up against the place that said, we're done with you, and I don't care how good your ratings are, and you can sit out until 2025 and collect your $25 million a year. I think Tucker's got the bigger score to settle in this isolated setting. Trump certainly wants his revenge tour against everybody under the sun, but Tucker Carlson up against his former employer specifically now, yeah.
Dawn?
I think I am surprised that he did a pre-taped interview with Tucker, and that's just it. He held a live rally somewhere with people and took questions from people and talked about the issues. I think that would be fantastic. I just think it's low energy, and I'm a little surprised he did this.
Do we think he's going taped with Tucker because of the issues that we saw with Twitter?
No, I don't think you can go. I don't know how. Well, I guess you could go live.
Spaces.
Yeah.
Because we saw the technical issues with DeSantis and Elon. And, it was probably because there was too many people. Well, Trump's going to draw more people than DeSantis will.
But Trump comes from that world. He doesn't want to be on some, thing that he doesn't think is going to be lighted properly or work properly. Like, he wants it to look great. He's a showman. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but he does rallies all the time that have just cameras, he could do like a rally out,
Well, that's what we were saying yesterday is that I think that, Paul Begala said that he would advise him to do some sort of a rally.
Larry and I actually said it weeks ago. I'm just saying. Paul Begala said it over the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
He's his own I noticed how you threw your husband in there, too. He's his own...
Well, I'll get in trouble if I don't.
He's his own very effective strategist, somebody said on the YouTube chat. Okay, but is it his lawyers telling him not to incriminate himself?
I was just going to say, do you think there'll be any cleaning up of the interview? If he shoots himself in the foot, hey, we need to redact those 3 sentences so we don't incriminate ourselves or further complicate things.
I think that to your point, this is why they did it this way.
Mm-hmm.
It's an important week. I mean, this is real. They set his bond at $200,000.
Yeah.
He's got to turn himself in. They're not kidding around.
We've got murderers getting out for less than that.
Right?
That's true. It's a good point.
But this is in essence murdering a political candidate who's the leading presidential contender against Biden.
Take him out of the equation.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I think the lawyers maybe did get to him and said, "You got to listen to us. This is a big week.
Yep.
Let's do something, but very controlled, very disciplined." My hope is that he just talks about the issues and does not talk about his case for multiple reasons.
Do we know who's interviewing and who's doing the moderating on Fox? Is that Hannity?
Yeah. No, it's Martha and Brett.
Okay. That's a good.
Hannity.
Well, I just remember Hannity. Well, first of all, it's his time slot. And then secondly, remember, he was the one who said with DeSantis and Newsom.
They're never going to have Hannity do anything.
Because
he's as debates go. No.
Yeah, because he's an op-ed, commentator. No, they're news. Yeah. People who are more newsy.
Right. Less opinionated.
Yeah.
So that would be Brett Baer.
So just curious.
And Martha McCallum.
Is Kayleigh McEnany a rhino now for slamming Trump?
I don't know. Is she milquetoast, as Trump would say?
Well, is she slamming him? Did she slam him or she's just slamming the decision?
She said it's a huge political miscalculation.
Yeah. I disagree with that.
Yeah. So I think she has, credibility in that because she worked for him. I don't see her as necessarily bashing him, although in the past there are a few things where she was critical.
Mm-hmm.
But I think on this one, she's saying she worked as his, spokesperson in the White House communication office, and she's saying that she would have advised him otherwise. However, she's not there with the attorneys in the room.
Wait, when is she's on what? During your show or Dom's show? Lunchtime-ish?
That clip was from Outnumbered. I don't know if she's on
Okay.
Outnumbered. I don't watch Fox.
And I don't watch it either.
CNN like you
Yeah,
guys do.
and I don't think McEnany has her own. Does she have her own show during the week?
I want to say, this is a total guess on my part, I think she's somewhere between Harris Faulkner and then the Sandra Smith, John Roberts window. It's like, it almost
You
like...
guys care way too much about this stuff. Oh, my God.
It almost reminds me of like a Republican version of The View, that show that they do. It's Kaylee and like 3 or 4 other women and dude.
Oh, that's right.
Like
With Harris Faulkner.
sitting on couches
Yes.
with a live audience, and you can see people in New York City walking around on the other side of the glass.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't
And
watch
Emily Cantagna.
That's nap time for me.
Oh God. We're 7 likes away from 100.
Oh, there we go.
If you're watching right now on YouTube, youtube.com/@1210WPHD, please hit the like button. Ron DeSantis says on Trump skipping the debate, everybody has a responsibility to earn people's votes. This is cut 5, Daniel.
What do you think about the fact that the former president is not going to be on the debate stage next to you, and you won't get a chance to put this directly to him?
Everybody should debate. Everybody has a responsibility to earn people's votes. Nobody is entitled to anything in this world, less of all the Republican nomination for president. So I'm going to be there. I'm going to be making the case. And this is really a great opportunity because I don't think very many people over the summer have been following it that closely. I think this is going to be the first time where candidates are going to be able to speak unfiltered to a large number of Americans. And so I'm going to make the case that under Joe Biden, this country is in decline. We need to send Biden back to his basement in Delaware and reverse the country's decline. And I'm the guy that can do it. I've proven it in the state of Florida, and I won't let people down as the next president.
I do not disagree with DeSantis there from the selfish standpoint of I want to see Trump in action. That being said, if I'm Trump, as far as winning people's votes, to use the terminology that DeSantis used, I would say this. I got 62 million votes in 16. I got 12 million more, 74 million in 20. My poll numbers are astronomically high right now. And every time I get indicted, they keep going up. And there's not one single individual that looks like a threat to me right now. So sorry, Ron, I'm not going to be there.
By the way, one of my favorite things is the clown emoji on YouTube.
Am I getting clowned?
No. Navy Prepper did it for Ron DeSantis. The clown emoji is hysterical.
I prefer this.
It will make me laugh. It will make me laugh every time.
Yes.
DeSantis also on saying anyone on that stage, he's the only one whose sole purpose is to be the 47th president of the United States. Cut 7.
Well, look, bring it on. People can do what they want. I can tell you this, though, Martha, of anyone on that stage, I'm the only one whose sole purpose is running to be the 47th president of the United States and to reverse this country's decline. I'm not running to be vice president. I'm not running to be in the cabinet, and I'm not running to be a contributor on cable news. We're running to win, and that we're going to show people that we'll get the job done.
Very good answer. I think he's right. Vivek Ramaswamy screams cabinet member. Nikki Haley, Tim Scott scream VP. Chris Christie, Mike Pence, no shot whatsoever to begin with. Doug Burgum, don't get me started. Seriously, DeSantis is all in. It's, hey, I'm either going to become the president or I'm going to finish up my second term as governor in Florida. Being the VP under Trump is not an option. I do not disagree with DeSantis there.
By the way, on the YouTube chat right now, there's a vote going on. Trump not debating, mistake or not.
Okay.
Mistake or right decision are the two choices. YouTube.com/@1210WPHT. YouTube.com/@1210WPHT. Go there now to vote. Right now, it's right decision at 64%.
I think they're right.
65% right now. But go and vote right now. Let me see here. Jim Sakuda. Shatuda? How do you say?
Oh, Jim.
Jim Shashoda.
I can spell it. SCIUTTO. Jim
Sciutto.
Provolone and prosciutto.
Is it Sciutto?
Sciutto. I don't know.
Okay.
He's the guy that's always angry, right?
He was talking to Democratic strategist Maria Cardona, asking the $64,000 question. Is your party, meaning the Democrat Party, silently hoping Trump wins the primary. This is what she says. Cut 2.
To get the nomination. I wonder, Maria Cardona, are Democrats silently hoping for Trump to be the nominee?
That's a good question, and I've heard both things. Both yes, because clearly he is somebody that Joe Biden already beat, and I believe that if Trump is the nominee, as well as other Republican strategists believe this too, which is why they're trying to find somebody else desperately, that Joe Biden will beat him again. It will by no means be easy. But I also believe that no matter who is the nominee, if it's not Donald Trump, and that's a big if, I believe that Joe Biden will beat that person as well. Again, not easy. We cannot take anything for granted because we live in a super polarized, divided country. But the fact is that every single candidate who has any possibility of making it out as the nominee is supporting an extremist MAGA agenda that the vast majority of the American people do not agree with. And what is so harmful for the Republicans as a party is that they have to be all in. They have to promise that they will absolutely support this extremist MAGA agenda in order to win the nomination. But that agenda is what is anathema to the vast majority of the American people, including independent voters, which they need to look.
Interesting pronunciation. I call it MAGA, not MAGA. But she dropped 2 MAGAs in there. And Jim Sciutto's the guy that used to do the morning show with Poppy Harlow before it became the Popster, Lemon, and the Collins.
MAGA.
MAGA.
That means MAGA man is MAGA.
MAGA man. I'm a MAGA man.
Sorry. It's nuts.
Are the Dems strategically doing this? Remember, this was the conspiracy theory I had at the beginning of this calendar year. I said it would not pass me because, I would not be shocked if the Dem strategy was to elevate Trump, to go after him so much that he wins the primary so they can beat him again because they beat him, quote, beat him once before. And that was when I was higher on DeSantis. At this point, no, I don't think they want to face Trump because we've seen some of the polls where Trump and Biden are basically dead even. And it's very, very realistic that Trump has a shot here.
Did you guys see this theory? I think it was written, I don't know if it was The Hill or The Atlantic or something, about these legal scholars. They were conservative scholars too, that said that Trump is ineligible to run again because of the 14th Amendment.
I did see something to that effect, but I thought Turley dismissed that.
Well, this is CNN's Ali Honing rebutting that theory, rebutting that theory that Trump is ineligible to run again. This is cut 14, Daniel.
I was struck by this piece written by retired conservative judge J. Michael Louie, Harvard law professor Lawrence Tribe. So they make the case in a piece in The Atlantic that the Constitution prohibits Trump from ever being president again. So they write in here, all officials who ever swore to support the Constitution and who thereafter either engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the Constitution or gave aid and comfort to the enemies of that Constitution are automatically disqualified from holding future office and must therefore be barred from election to any office. You and I were talking, full disclosure, we were talking earlier today, and you say this argument is flawed. Why do you think there's a flaw in there?
Well, Erica, this is based on the 14th Amendment. These are 2 brilliant scholars. They're correct to note that the 14th Amendment rightly bars someone who's participated in insurrection or rebellion from holding future office. The problem is the 14th Amendment tells us nothing about how that decision gets made, nor does any case law or statute that's been passed. Does Congress decide? Is it Senate? Is it House? Is it majority? Is it 2/3? Is it a court? Is it a jury? Is it a judge? Etc. And what they propose in the article is they say, well, it's self-executing, which that does not do it for me. What they're proposing essentially is, well, every state, local, county official who handles ballots will just decide on their own whether he's disqualified or not. That would lead to wild inconsistency and chaos, and I don't think that's a viable, practical solution here.
Sounds like he's got a very good rebuttal and a great answer to that. I would also add in, and I don't know if it's actually a charge or if it's just a term that we use, but Trump was not charged with an insurrection.
I was just going to say that.
And he was not charged with seditious conspiracy as well.
Just going to say that as well.
So you can't apply something when the charge isn't present.
Yeah, and nobody in all of these trials, as still many more await, their sentencing and jail where they've been for 2 years,
or a broom closet,
or broom closet in their underwear, as you had talked about. Nobody has been convicted of that, of insurrection, of that charge. I mean, to me, that's the bottom line.
Yes.
But it shows you why they had to keep using that word insurrection.
Mm-hmm.
And then think about, because people are like, why are the media, why do they keep saying insurrection?
Because it's got a
insurrection?
salacious feel to it.
Well, and also, but they need that term insurrection, because if they could prove Trump did insurrection, do you know what I'm saying? Then they've got it. They don't have it.
Yep.
How do you say that he led the insurrection when nobody's been convicted of insurrection?
Yep. I thought he was going to go on rambling and say, as he was going through all the people that could possibly charge, I thought he was going to get to the Democratic Party and the media as well, but he stopped there with court, judge, jury, and something else.
Last week on the show, we played the new Oliver Anthony song, "Rich Men North of Richmond." That was number 1 on iTunes. So Fox and Friends Griff Jenkins went out to a free concert that he had over the weekend in North Carolina, and interviewed him. Which I believe is one of the first interviews that I've seen of him, and talked to his new producer and everybody. It was a cool little thing. If you're watching right now, you can see the video on YouTube. This is cut 1, Daniel.
A point to stay for as long as it takes, 2, 3, 4 hours, to meet and greet every one of his fans, make a connection, hear their stories, and to hear why his songs connect with them. Why'd you write the song? What motivated you to write that song?
I don't know. Maybe that song's an evolution of a lot of my other songs. Like if you listen to Doggone It and Feeling Pretty Good, and really all of them, they just talk about common struggles that I feel like everybody deals with. I mean, it's really just how I felt, and so I guess other people inherently feel that way. Now that I'm learning, I'm not the only one that felt that way, but I really just wrote the song for me. And then Draven from Radio WV, he hit me up on like a Thursday and was really interested in doing some stuff, and at the time I only had the first half of Richmond North of Richmond written. I posted it online, but it was just like that first half. So we threw the second half together the day of filming, or the day before filming, and really just thought, I didn't think anybody would even see it.
Someone sent Oliver's music to me. His name was Johnny Pettis from Missouri, and I knew from the moment I heard Oliver that he was special, that God was speaking through him. I went up there to Virginia and recorded him, and me and Oliver spent a weekend together. We prayed before the session, and we knew it was going to be something special. Now that I knew it was going to be a great song as far as, skyrocketing. No, I didn't think it was going to happen a day later.
Are you surprised that the public has reacted the way they did? Do you realize the crowd is touched by your music?
Yeah, well, it resonates the suffering in the world right now. Like even in our own country, we've had years of people feeling depressed and hopeless, and every time you look at the TV or get online, everything's negative. And so I think people are just desperate for something positive again. There's been a lot of people die for us to be able to stand on this dirt and do what it is we do every day, and we should be excited for it.
What do you hope comes of the song in your music? I know you turned $8 million down. You did a great statement. You said you don't want jets, you don't want tour buses. What do you want?
Just people to start appreciating each other for human beings and look beyond political differences and ideologies and a lot of things that I see corporate media and education doing, which is making everyone identify each other's differences and not their similarities. I want people to appreciate each other and appreciate each other's struggles, and hopefully just find the energy that was in this song and manifest it in people's own personal lives, and just trying to find similarities with each other instead of division. That's really all I want.
Geez, if the music thing doesn't work out for him, he could get a slot on Talk Radio 1210. He's in there, corporate media, government, education, always pointing out our identificational differences. Not only was he number 1 on iTunes, he's now number 1 atop the Billboard chart, which is pretty remarkable. And my guess is he's not going to have to perform for free much longer.
Well, I don't think he performed for free. I think it was just a free concert, like a concert in the park or whatever those things are. Apparently, what they were referring to there was he turned down an $8 million record deal. Allegedly.
More power to him.
That's what they were discussing there.
Wow.
So, not sure what to make of this. But it's just interesting to see the division between like fans of this guy and people who he doesn't like. Nothing in that clip seemed to be some like right-wing
No.
job.
No, this is like a continuation of Jason Aldean.
And when I say that, I mean that's what they're calling him. They're calling him like a right-wing nut job.
Yeah.
But nothing in there, to your point.
No.
He's like there's too much division. There's too
Right.
much
Negative news coverage.
negative news. I mean,
Right.
I don't know. It just he seems very.
Yeah. It's like, no, we're human beings. It's not white, black. It's not gay, straight. It's not liberal, conservative. Like, that's so lost on people. And it has to be said.
But I think this is why people like RFK Jr. or Vivek Ramaswamy resonate right now, because at least they have a more hopeful message. And I think there is a yearning and a need in America for somebody to offer leadership that's hopeful.
On each side, would you argue those are the two biggest uniters, Vivek and RFK? Because I think you're on. I think Vivek does. I mean, you've seen the way he handles people that ask him about, political differences. He allows them to, voice their opinion, and then he'll sit there intelligently with a counterpoint.
Mm-hmm.
And RFK Jr. as well, like to what you were just saying.
Yeah, especially Vivek Ramaswamy. I mean, I know he just turned 38 years old, but I think there's a reason that, and remember when he started on the scene, people were like, who? Who is this guy? He's going to last a week. Why has he resonated?
Yeah.
The other candidates should learn from this, and Trump in particular, who I think tries to not talk about himself and the case. But the more these individuals are negative, the more that they just go toward like a Chris Christie, the more they're negative, or the more they talk about themselves. Look at Joe Biden talking about his own fire. That's the same as a candidate talking about themselves.
Yeah.
People don't want to, people are suffering. And what happened in Hawaii, I think, is a microcosm of what's happening in America with mental health. I mean, now that school events are starting to begin, I was with a group of parents, moms and dads. That was the conversation. Mental health, still frustrations with work, the economy. Those are the conversations people are having on the ground, as far as especially kids, but also adults, mental health issues, and just depressing. It's sad, and then you're sad because of the economy. You go to the grocery store. So that's what a candidate needs to tap into and start talking about.
And I also love, too, the way the media and the mainstream cover united versus divided. With the mainstream media will label the right as dividers. Well, they're so angry, and their leaders are just so alpha and dominant, and yet it's the left gravitates towards fragility and weakness, and that's what Joe Biden exudes. But when Joe gets tough against MAGA Republicans. Republicans get tough against the southern border, China, crime, drugs, and we're viewed to be like these unsympathetic politicians and voters. It's like, wait a minute. No, we're going to be tough on the stuff that matters.
Speaking of Vivek, he was on the Club Random podcast with
I saw
Omar.
By the way, Vivek in a setting where somebody's pouring a cocktail and lighting a joint, very fascinating.
It's funny you bring that up. The first question he asked was about pot not being legal nationwide, and Vivek said it was a joke that it's not legal nationwide. Cut 4. But
this is what's so advantageous about running for president when you're 38. Because I remember 38. And I still run around the country, but I couldn't do it like that now. I mean, you really...
But you've been through that phase. You know what it's like a little bit.
Absolutely. And you can just run your body ragged 24/7, especially I'm sure you don't drink or, I mean, you're...
Not a... try to not have too many vices. Yeah.
But do you think it should be legal nationally?
I think that we should align the federal law with the state law. I think it undermines the rule of law that we have.
So that means yes?
Yeah, it means yes.
Yes,
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because it's so silly now.
It's a joke. It's a farce.
It's a joke that I have to look up when I'm going to a state. And by the way, I don't even do it anymore because I figure if they're going to get me in Oklahoma for having this with me, they'll be the ones who are embarrassed, not me.
Well, also, here's the thing, though, is when you have different standards of law, like when you have that look the other way and sweep it under the rug, that's when you actually get an unfair state that can target people for saying the wrong thing. thinking the wrong thing. I don't like what you did here.
Right.
I got to throw the
Well,
statute
and-
book at you, and then we're going to do something where we otherwise don't charge
And
it.
historically,
That's what they do.
racism
historically
hid behind states' rights.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
Yeah,
this
of course.
was part of our past.
Right.
And today, I think
Right.
political discrimination, I think, is the new equivalent of unfairness in the law that we've seen for racism in maybe decades and centuries past.
What a good answer.
Yeah.
That was based on marijuana being legalized.
But then couldn't
federalization of it.
Couldn't you counter that and say, okay, now do abortion?
Yeah, you could always counter everything with what's, state
Do abortion
versus
with
federal.
what?
With the federal versus state?
Well, because Roe v. Wade kicked it back to the states.
Vivek is president. This is the big joke. They keep saying, make it a national thing. You can't. If you make it a national thing, the SCOTUS will go, nah, been there, done that.
Right.
We already said it goes back to states' rights.
Right. It's the state right issue.
So it's not.
But it is a farce and a joke with the marijuana. I mean, and this is somebody, I'm not an advocate for marijuana. I don't use it. I've taken it one time in the form of a gummy. I'm not a pot person, but like the fact that you could be, and like Bill Maher makes a good point, like in Oklahoma. Okay, so if I have some stuff with me and I'm doing a show in Oklahoma and I get pulled over for speeding or whatever, and you find that, the joke's going to be on you because you're going to look ridiculous in the headlines when you pull me over for pot. That comes from somebody that doesn't consume it.
Well, they need to have, I don't know, do they have a breathalyzer for pot?
I don't know. How do they test?
There's no way to.
How do they?
You just know. I mean, like, you can see somebody who's,
right.
High.
Yeah, but
You can look at
Kamala
their eyes
Harris, back to Kamala, that laugh.
Yeah.
She sounds high to me, but she.
All right, as
you
two
know.
people who have never smoked weed, she does not seem high.
Okay.
She just seems dopey.
Yeah, she's a goof.
She seems sometimes kind of high.
Okay.
Or she seems like she's on something.
So if you're smoking it, they can smell it. But what if you consume it in the form of an edible and you get pulled
that's
over?
true.
I mean, other than
Good point.
I'm assuming glassy or bloodshot eyes. But there's a lot of people that I've been around. Like there's guys that I golf with that vape marijuana outside, and they play.
Opelka vapes?
No, it's not
I'm
Opelka.
teasing.
It's not. It's not stunt. Money. No, well, that might improve his game a little bit. To be honest, no, I'm just kidding. He beat me the last time. But some people just play while they're high, and I don't even notice that they've been taking it. So I don't know if it's a tolerance thing, much like any other sort of substance that you build up for it. I can honestly tell you, I've been around some people where they look completely out of it. I'm like, man, he's been blazing up since 5:30 this afternoon. But then there's others where I'm like, I have no idea that they're on it, and they're totally functional.
Michael Schellenberger, do we remember him?
Yeah, Twitter
from the Twitter files. He was on with Jesse Waters last night, and apparently there is a new documentary that is out right now about the windmills, and that's happening in the oceans with the whales dying and washing ashore. He says in this that the high decibel noise from windmills are causing the increase of the whale deaths. And he has some interesting scientific information to back it up. This is cut 13.
Well, this is really shocking, Jesse. I mean, as you know, the government has claimed for years that the increased boat traffic and the very loud, high decibel sonar that you're hearing, which was mapping the ocean floor, the government insisted that they had done the science to show that that was not what was causing this huge increase in whale deaths. 60 whale deaths since December 1st last year. We only have 340 of the North Atlantic right whales. They're on the verge of extinction. We have new science, which we present in this documentary, done by two remarkable researchers, one on this high decibel noise, which sends whales into harm's way and also separates mothers from their calves, and also showing that the increased boat traffic in previously untrafficked parts of the East Coast was directly causing this increase in whale deaths. We're looking forward to a congressional investigation on this, full subpoenas, full hearings, because we believe that the evidence is very strong that it has been this wind industry activity off the East Coast that's caused this increase in deaths. That's what's presented and thrown to the wind, which is a really, I didn't make it, we helped to support it, but it's a remarkable documentary that shows the proof.
So North Atlantic right whales. No wonder why the left has no issue with these animals washing up on the shore. No, but in all seriousness, if there's one individual that's doing research and doing the digging and has come across X, Y, or Z and is talking about it there in that setting, I'm going to trust Michael Schellenberger. I'm going to trust Barry Weiss, Matt Taibbi, some of these journalists with literally no political skin in the game, so to speak. But again, I guess it comes down to protecting animals or your green energy and your emissions and this whole facade and crusade that you're on at the expense of some of the animals in the ocean.
But in their own reports, because you say to yourself, well, how can these companies say we're compliant?
Yeah.
Because in the report, and I forget the wording now because it's this long report that they had to realize, thousands of pages that they had to put out there. But in there, there are allowances for so many whale deaths.
Oh.
So they knew up front how many deaths and dolphins and whales, they knew the impact moving forward. So when they say we're fully compliant, that means, well, we haven't exceeded what the report estimated.
Yeah.
So I forget the number. Was it 50? They knew about 50. So there are 39 now. That's why the numbers matter.
It's funny how we have an acceptable allotment of deaths for certain animals or certain people. Black Lives Matter, COVID, protect grandma. Well, 49 whales, you didn't hit 50, so you're within the margin for error. Come on.
But the real joke about this is not just, I know for the environmentalists, they feel it's a disaster, or at the very least they feel, let's pause what we have and stop giving out these new contracts when we haven't studied this. It's happening so quickly.
Yeah.
But the real joke is in the Inflation Reduction Act, which is an ironic term. It's in there in thousands of pages in, where it says that for every time you want these wind turbine projects, you first have to sell out drilling in the Gulf to oil, big oil first. That's the prerequisite for it.
And
so this is a wolf in sheep's clothing.
Yeah.
In the eyes of environmentalists, it's not about climate change.
And
it's about the moolah.
You've covered this a lot with many guests on your show.
Cindy Ziff and other activists.
So the decibel sound, is that something that's only detectable underwater to certain ears of animals?
They actually played at the beginning of that clip. By the way, the documentary is called "Thrown to the Wind."
Okay.
Thrown to the Wind. I'm not sure where you can see it, but just Google or DuckDuckGo "Thrown to the Wind" and you can find it. But they played the decibels for what the whales are hearing.
Okay.
And it's just this clanging.
Yeah.
Just clang, 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 clang.
Probably
clang.
drives them insane.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's awful.
Well, and it explains, remember, people were calling in and being interviewed and very upset, especially when, remember those dolphins washed ashore in Sea Isle City?
Yeah.
And a group of them, and some were still alive, and people were trying to push them back out into the water. And they said, what could possibly be in this water that these creatures want to come up on land knowing they're going to die?
Yeah.
Highly intelligent creatures. This has captured so many people because, this is the height, right, of the shore.
Yeah.
And you're down there and your little kids and your family, and you're seeing these beautiful creatures dead or dying on the beach.
Cage goes in the water. Sharks in the water.
Stop.
Sorry.
All right, that's what I got.
All right. That'll do it. 8:31, round one of the cut sheet in the books. Part due coming up in just about an hour and 5 minutes. But let's get to a Dawn Stensland Big Three at 8:31.
It's the Big Three at 8 on Kayal and Company.
And we are sponsored by United Tire. New details on that runaway SEPTA trolley that injured two people when it slammed into an SUV at the intersection of Island and Woodland Avenues and then smashed into the historic Bluebell Inn, causing an estimated $300,000 in damage. So we now have the first findings from the National Transportation Safety Board. Remember this one? So within the past few weeks, we had 8 total SEPTA-involved accidents. In this one, they learned that a SEPTA maintenance technician had no warning that the trolley's air brakes had been disabled, had been removed for repairs.
Oh, my God.
And this is, so he gets in, usually they would tag it, label it. No, he gets in, he's just moving it and doesn't know this thing is just going to, it's downhill. and runaway trolley.
Oh, my God. I was stuck behind a SEPTA bus a little bit on the Schuylkill this morning at 4:50 coming up on Belmont Avenue. And I'm just thinking, I wonder how safe this one will be today. I wonder if that person's adhering to all the new training rules. You got to be kidding me.
Unbelievable.
How do you take out a bus, essentially, or a trolley that's essentially under repair or not functional and operational?
So the mechanic was moving the trolley and said to the told the the federal investigators, he had no way of knowing. These brakes were not working. They had literally been disabled.
Oh, my God.
The protocol is, of course, you would label it with a big label. They have special labeling. You would tell, but nobody told them.
Unbelievable.
So that's the bottom line on that one. And this is one of the reasons that, as we said last week, SEPTA began that mandatory training for all employees to review safety procedures, thus causing delays for SEPTA riders, adding insult to injury.
The hell's going on with this world?
Number 2, you may be spraying animal urine on your neck. These are investigators revealing this nasty ingredient used by counterfeit gangs selling fake perfumes around the world.
I thought I was buying Liz Claiborne, and I got urine. Yikes.
So, what's that called? Something yellow necklace, or I forget the term. Anyway, this is either true
What?
or it's a
yellow necklace?
Pearl necklace?
I don't know. It's like a yellow,
Oh,
like
God, you too.
it's
Oh, my
animal
God.
urine.
Okay.
Sorry, but
Well, they used to
these
be.
are.
I remember that people would use like the deer antler spray, right? Wasn't that a thing a while back?
Yeah, I have that from my yard. Craig's.
Oh my God.
I forget what the thing is, but anyway, these are investigators revealing that counterfeit perfume bottles that are claiming to be top brands are actually filled with an ingredient of animal urine, and that you could be allergic to it. It could cause health problems. It's nasty.
This holiday season at Macy's, get your lady PP5. Available in 3.4 ounce or 1.7.
This is so they're investigative reporters, but you can imagine immediately that all of the brand managers who work for these top perfume, Louis Vuitton and all the Gucci, they're all like, "That's right.
Yeah,
this is nasty. Counterfeiting is bad for your health." They're all picking up on this.
Well,
So-
there's a few fragrance violators in the Odyssey World headquarters. Maybe they should start spraying some of that on themselves.
So they're saying it's dangerous to your health, and they go on, but it's worldwide, and they also talk about child labor used for counterfeiting. Every once in a while, we have the feds, intercept something at the airport.
Speaking of this, are you a perfume lady? Are you a fragrance lady?
Yeah.
Like when Larry takes you out?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Is it like a daily thing? Because I've never picked up on you. You certainly don't wear it in the workplace.
I don't wear it here because we have memos that somebody's allergic.
Right.
So
I've had the same bottle of cologne since 2015. I still have like 2/3 of it left.
Since
I only put very rarely do I use it. I'm a 2-squirt max kind of guy.
No, I love different perfume. I have a bunch of different perfumes, but I won't wear them to work because somebody. But I even worry about because your shampoo is. There are lots of fragrances.
That's the thing now. The body washes are strong. If you use fabric softener, strong. Yeah, I don't think you need the cologne, honestly. And I don't really know where it plays well. It doesn't play well in the office setting. And if you wear it outside, you got bugs all over you.
That's
I don't
true.
know.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
So don't bathe and don't put on perfume. It's
Right.
like the
And
bottom line.
don't bathe in urine.
And I should mention as well, did you know that this is National Peach Appreciation Day?
Oh.
National Eat a Peach Day.
Okay. Well, maybe
Peachy.
Trump can get one when he gets arraigned in the state of Georgia.
So this is the New Jersey Department of Agriculture. They're celebrating by giving out free peaches.
Mm-hmm.
So the crop generating $19 million in value for the state of New Jersey. You think of Jersey Fresh. I love the Jersey tomatoes. But today, make sure you eat a peach day and make sure it's a local peach.
Yes. And by the way, speaking of peach, the peach Snapple iced tea, hands down the best of the 3 flavored.
Yeah.
Better than the lemon, better than the raspberry.
So good.
It's not up for debate, folks. I will not debate you on that.
You are sponsible. There's no debate about United Tire, your car's AC unit. If it's making you sweat, time to cool off. Cash in on savings at United Tire. Save $50 on any AC service with the purchase of 4 new tires from select brands at United Tire. So stop by or visit UnitedTire.com. Don't drive alone. Drive United. Kayal and Company, Big 3.
All right, Dawn, thank you very much. 8:37 Tuesday morning. We'll come back and get back into a couple of things on the GOP side of things. One renowned pollster in Iowa says, pump the brakes on DeSantis. He's not dead yet. And also, one GOP candidate might have to pay for coverage. Pay to play? Play to pay? Whatever they call it. We'll give you the details when we come back. Kayal and Company, stay right there.
Does your knee pain keep getting worse? How about that pain in your shoulder or hip or your back? Don't let them tell you steroids and surgery are your only option. Take my advice now. Call QC Kinetics. Dawn Stansland here. You know, QC Kinetics can make that pain go away with all-natural advanced regenerative medicine. And they're helping people here in the Philadelphia region every single day with these amazing natural treatments which restore and repair damaged joint tissue. It's like turning back the clock. Regenerative medicine uses concentrated healing agents from your own body, which stimulate that damaged tissue in your joints so they can work like they're supposed to. Zero downtime. How about that? This is a remarkable option. You need to check it out, and the consultation's free. Just call QC Kinetics now. 215-999-3000. Would you just call QC Kinetics? Call them today. 215-999-3000. Tell them Dawn sent you.
The Securities and Exchange Commission regulates our nation's Wall Street firms, and their top attorney exposes one of the many hidden threats to your 401k and mutual fund accounts in the stunning documentary film, The Baby Boomer Dilemma.
My name's Edward Siddell. I'm a former SEC attorney who has pioneered the field of forensic investigations of pensions and retirement plans. 0.5% or more a year in excessive fees causes your average American worker to have maybe 60% what they would have in their 401k balance had they been in lower cost mutual funds.
Learn how to eliminate market risk and fees from your retirement future. Reserve your seat for the next private screening of The Baby Boomer Dilemma at the William Penn Inn on September 12th. Registration is required. 800-722-9728 or crashproofretirement.com.
At QC Kinetics, we have story after story of patients freed from agonizing pain through amazing regenerative treatments. But this one, well, it's extra special.
My father, who is 70 years old, had both of his knees worn out. He went to an orthopedic surgeon who said, you need both of your knees operated on. We can book you for next week.
But Dr. Daniel Zuckerman, a QC Kinetics medical director, knew he had other options.
I had him come to QC Kinetics. We treated both of his knees using our protocols with regenerative medicine. Within a few months, he was back to walking. A few months later, he was at the gym exercising 3 times a week. He can keep up with our 3.5-year-old little girl.
No surgery, no complicated rehab or downtime.
It's completely life-changing for him.
You have options too. Before they whisk you away to surgery, slow down. Call QC Kinetics now for your free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 215-999-3000. That's 215-999-3000. 215-999-3000. For a complete list of Talk Radio 1210 WPHT's contest rules, go to 1210WPHT.com/rules.
Snap into the NFL action this season with FanDuel Sportsbook in partnership with Valley Forge Casino. It's America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. If you're thinking about joining FanDuel, now is the perfect time to get in on the action. FanDuel.com/Greg. FanDuel.com/Greg. Sign up right now. NFL season is 2 weeks and change away. You don't want to miss out on this. You can bet on everything from spreads to player props to over-unders. FanDuel.com/Greg. Kick off the NFL season. FanDuel is the official partner of the NFL, and he's the official partner of 1210 WPHT, so you know you're in good hands. 21 and over, President PA. First online to money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issue does not withdraw bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms of sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Calling up Blackwood to follow 1210 WPHT on the free Odyssey app. Download it now.
Is on. Hello, hello, hello.
Kayal and Company rolling on live here on a Tuesday morning. Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. Get us on the Odyssey app. Watch us live on YouTube. You can tweet us or Instagram us at 1210 WPHT. That is what Governor Murphy's dolphin hate has done. He found the video of what appears to be Joe Biden, who just fell asleep in the middle of his meeting with victims of the Maui fires. You can see this little video that's posted on my Twitter where Joe's got his head down, looks like he's nodding off, and Governor Murphy's dolphin hate says, "When you wake up for morning drive radio and friends invite you for dinner." And it's a video of Joe Biden nodding off.
I'm
Apparently.
gonna if we can grab that, Daniel, so we can put it up on the YouTube video.
Put him in box 4.
I'd like to put that on the YouTube video so folks who are watching can see it.
Yes. Very difficult for dinner functions and late night social gatherings, Sunday through Thursday evening when you get up to do morning drive radio. Just saying. Probably won't attend unless I have to. 855-839-1210 is the phone number. A couple of other things that we will get to coming up in the 9 o'clock hour that include a capitalism class that is being taught at Princeton that focuses on racism, as well as the excuse now. We gave you the story about 2 weeks ago of the military member who defected to North Korea. Well, now they're saying he defected because of racism. Imagine wanting to go to North Korea to avoid racism in the United States. We'll give you those stories. And also a crazy story about a dog eating a groom's passport as he gets ready to go on his honeymoon to Italy. You know, the dog ate your homework. Now my dog ate my passport. And he looks like Buddy Boy. So we might have to interrogate Buddy. But a couple of stories here on the Republican side of things. And this is courtesy of NBC News. The Trump-DeSantis Iowa race is apparently closer than it seems. So says a renowned Iowa pollster who has just released her first survey of the 2024 campaign. And amidst a series of great polls for former President Donald Trump, the new numbers of Iowa seem to leave the door open, if only slightly, for Governor Ron DeSantis. Our buddy hasn't been sober on Twitter says DeSantis is basically auditioning for a TV gig, which DeSantis has claimed that is not the case. I do not believe that's the case. I think DeSantis despises the media and would never be a part of it. But according to a new poll from the Des Moines Register and NBC News, Trump does hold a significant lead, but it is nowhere near as large as the 46-point cushion one new survey found that he holds nationally. The poll shows Ron DeSantis in second place with 19%, followed by Senator Tim Scott with 9%. Former VP Mike Pence and former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley tied at 6%, and former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie at 5%. But Jay Ann Selzer, the famed Iowa pollster who put out the new numbers, told the Des Moines Register that her findings indicate the race is, quote, closer than it may first seem. That's because in the Iowa caucus, a voter's second place choice matters, as caucus goers are asked to pick another candidate if their first choice does not receive enough support. And as the Register notes, 63% of likely GOP caucus goers say they support Trump as their first or second choice in the caucuses or are actively considering him. That footprint is on par with the 61% who say the same for DeSantis. So that in that measurement, the way they kind of frame it and quantify it there, they are very close, 63 and 61% respectively, first or second. Breaking down the numbers of the big board on MSNBC on Monday, everybody's favorite crazy pollster on TV, Steve Kornacki, who called the Selzer poll the gold standard, pointed out another metric in the Florida governor's favor. We have more than half of Republicans in this poll saying their minds are not made up yet. I wanted to bring that up because there's two things that I want to at least present to the audience. We have to be, I think, very careful in this day and age of polls, but also social media and the vocal, I don't even want to say vocal minority, but just the very vocal people that make it known what they're for and who they're about. there's very few Trump supporters that are overly quiet about it. Now, some of them, they are quiet because they don't want to be ridiculed and lose a job or whatever. But Trump supporters are very, like, you sit there and you say, well, I've never met anybody that likes Joe Biden. Well, maybe they just don't say it. But the same thing is with DeSantis. Just because there's people out there that are not banging the drum for the guy doesn't mean they don't get in their car on election day or the primary or whatever it might be, show up, do their thing, get out. So you get polls, small sample size, social media, less than 20% of Americans are on Facebook and Twitter. The vast majority do not advertise their beliefs. So I think that was probably my biggest takeaway beyond the obvious of somebody being very well respected in the polling community. That being said, and I say all of that to say this, I don't think it's really that close between DeSantis and Trump. And I think really the separator here is twofold. DeSantis has been very underwhelming since it became official that when he was considered to be in the running and when's he going to announce? When's he going to jump in? He felt like he was a real strong contender. Not as much now. And then also, again, and this is not a swipe at Trump. Trump hasn't done anything, I think, individually, specifically himself, to get this 46-point lead. It's the system hacking away at him. It's indictment 1, indictment 2, indictment 3, indictment 4. That's nothing about Trump has really changed. And it almost feels like an eternity or a lifetime ago where we were saying, man, remember when Trump came out and put out a few statements? He seemed low energy. And Nick Kayal said, boy, if he could keep that tunnel vision, that's a dangerous Trump that the left doesn't want to deal with. Other than that, I don't think much has changed in the quote-unquote playbook of Donald Trump. But I thought that was interesting. Do you read into this at all, Dawn, when it comes to Iowa and respected pollsters, 63, 61, first and second choice? I think there's got to be some merit to it. I just don't think actively in real life it's that close.
Yeah, I think that he's the one. However, I put an asterisk behind that because I do think that people are searching for something in this country, and that's just it. That if he you made me think of something, which is basically because he is being pounded with all these different cases and all these different charges, which just one case would be overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even imagine trying to campaign for president and at the same time face all of these charges, which in and of themselves would be just consuming and overwhelming. So basically he's teed up to it's always at the top of his mind and everybody's always asking him about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the challenge for Trump or for any candidate is not to talk about Trump or the prosecution / persecution.
I almost wonder at one point if at some point in this fall cycle of buildup, if Trump just comes out in the next public setting and is asked about any of the indictments or anything about January 6th or anything about 2020, and I'm sure he has to be advised about this, but he probably doesn't listen to it. If he just comes back and says, I've discussed this a ton. I'm not going to focus on that right now. I've got to focus on what matters for the stretch run here of my bid for re-election. I wonder if that will resonate with any single American where he's like, oh, wow, he totally just squashed that question and wants to talk about what he's going to do for me.
Yeah.
Because I think it would go a long way if you're somewhat open-minded. But it doesn't seem likely that that's in his deck of cards, so to speak.
Yeah, and again, in his defense, I can't imagine going through this. So how do you? It's top of mind. It's what you're going through, and you have lawyers who have to constantly talk to you, and that's why I've said this is, to me, this is absolute election interference. There's just no question.
Yeah.
It's unprecedented, historic.
No doubt.
But if Trump could just avoid that and say, I'm not going to talk about this because you know what? You, the American people, deserve a leader who's going to take you out of this, and I'm that guy.
Yeah.
And just just say, my lawyers have said they're dealing with the case. I've hired these lawyers.
Mhm.
I'm paying them a lot of money. They're dealing with the case. I'm not going to talk about it. Hopefully justice will be done. Let's talk about you, the American people, because I know you're hurting.
Exactly. And also, he has said, we are a nation in decline. Have you noticed DeSantis has piggybacked and stolen that decline
Yes.
word as well?
Yeah.
He's like, we got to reverse the decline of America. It's once again, you've got Joe Biden who's kind of stolen some of the, make America and build back better type stuff. And now you've got DeSantis and the word decline. Very interesting that they keep pilfering and taking some of those buzzwords from a campaign standpoint from Donald Trump.
But they have to take it to the next level. They keep talking about all the negativity, and they're never saying they could say, look at the numbers. We're well past the pandemic, folks. Look at the economy and look at what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Here's my plan. This is easy. We've got this, and make it positive. And say we're going to improve the schools and we're going to be fair. And of course, we're not going to allow bullies. We're going to empower and enable your children and you to live your life with liberty and with freedom. Make it hopeful, make it positive, give forth the plan. I just don't hear any message such as that.
That's right. 855-839-1210 is the number.
Do you guys want to see the video of Joe Biden falling asleep?
Oh, of course.
Daniel, if you can put that up there. So I don't know the backstory of this. Nick, you retweeted it, so I'm assuming you know the backstory of it.
Yeah, he was in Maui, and he just got done speaking, and I believe some of the residents were kind of having I don't know if he's closing his eyes and putting his head down in prayer or what he's doing, but and again, it's almost I almost want to like Photoshop that and take Joe out of that setting and put him next to President Herzog from Israel again, where he fell asleep when he was overseas.
YouTube.com/@1210WPHT. YouTube.com/@1210WPHT to see the video. Yeah, it definitely looks like he's falling asleep there.
And then his eyes open up a little bit, and he's like still staring as his head's pointed down, like, "My God, I've driven this country into the ground."
There's some heavy breathing going on there too. What's going on with
I have no idea.
I ain't seen nothing yet.
I hope we don't see anything more.
Yeah, I wish you can't even play audio because it's just him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like he's
I'm telling you, man, he's out of it.
Heavy breathing.
He's just looking down.
I mean, it's like, and that's why
eyes closed.
Like Trump shouldn't be criticized, and you should laugh, but it's true when he says it that he can't string together two sentences and he doesn't know he's alive. I mean, think about the flight. I'll tell you what, the flight to Hawaii is exhausting, especially when you go cross country. From California to Hawaii is one thing.
Can't you sleep on the flight?
You can. I'm just looking. He just wiped out again. He needs another vacation.
But you think about all the, we live and breathe all of this every single day. And we're, the debate. Do you think this and that? But you think about this looking from the outside to the average American. And you think about, back to school and thinking about budgets, and even I have friends who've actually started Christmas shopping.
Oh my God.
Because they're trying to find deals to save money this Christmas because the economy's tough.
I'm steamed up just seeing Halloween stuff.
Yeah. They've already got the Halloween, but they've already got Christmas stuff.
They've already jumped Halloween and Thanksgiving.
Yeah. So I just think to the average person, you're looking at all this and you're looking at all this politics and you think, man, look at these people. They live this life and it's all about them and it's all this insider stuff. What about us?
Yep.
Who's improving our lives?
Yep.
And I just think whoever can capture that can actually win the White House. Whichever candidate that is, and we can hope all we want, but all of these distractions are just that. They're distractions from what is real to every American.
That's correct. 855-839-1210 to jump in. And as we wrap up the 8 o'clock hour here, I've always thought that certain networks cover certain things a certain way, whether it's a party, a politician, a group of people, but I didn't think it would actually cost money. And that apparently is the case where Republican candidate has told the associates that work with him that one network tried to make him pay for coverage. And we are talking about Vivek Ramaswamy, who wants to appear on Newsmax. He should have to pay to do so.
What?
That was the message that network chief Chris Ruddy Rudy. Now, Chris Ruddy delivered to the Republican presidential candidate during a private call earlier this summer, according to two people to whom the candidate described the conversation. So Vivek had complained that the right-leaning network, Newsmax, many people, the hardcore right-leaning individuals say far more right than Fox News, right?
Yep.
Far more Trump than Fox News. So Ramaswamy had complained that the right-leaning network was sticking him in a little-watched midday slot or ignoring him outright. Ruddy also suggested a solution, Ramaswamy told associates, buy more television ads on the network. Ramaswamy told him, noted that such a transaction had helped Republican businessman Perry Johnson, a candidate who has thus far garnered only passing attention amongst mainstream and even conservative outlets covering the 2024 presidential cycle. In a statement, Newsmax spokesperson Bill Daddy told Semaphore that the insinuation, quote, that Newsmax is asking candidates to advertise in order to ensure coverage as some quid pro quo is categorically untrue and incorrect. Newsmax would take an assertion such as that very seriously. There is no correlation between advertising and editorial visibility for any candidate on Newsmax.
Because this would be a federal violation.
Can't do that.
The FCC would clamp down. This is a huge story.
I don't watch Newsmax, but are they just only pumping up Trump? Is that it? I cannot tell you a show on Newsmax.
I've watched some in snippets, not live, obviously, because we try to scan everything. But I think some of Ashley Banfield, I think she's a terrific interviewer.
Yeah.
And I learn from her, and I love some of the topics.
I need out.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
We'll continue this on the other side right now. Dawn Stenson with a word for QC Kinetics.
How are you feeling? How you doing? Are you still feeling that pain? Maybe in your back, your shoulder, your aching hip, and it's stopping you from living your life. What a gorgeous day. I just ran to the break room, got some coffee, and we were all talking in there like, I want to get out and just enjoy this weather. 81 degrees. It's a little crisp, especially in the mornings. But is your pain holding you back? I tell you, you got to call my friends from QC Kinetics. They do a great job, and I think the world of them. And they are renowned nationally. So QC Kinetics makes that pain go away with all natural, advanced, regenerative medicine. This is breakthrough stuff. They're helping people here in our region every single day with these amazing natural treatments, which restore and, yes, repair the damaged joint tissue. So regenerative medicine, how does it work? It uses concentrated healing agents from your own body to stimulate that damaged tissue inside your joints so that they work like they're supposed to, like they used to. And that means there's zero downtime here, right? QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in this exciting medical breakthrough, and patients are getting real, lasting relief, feeling good, and saying no to the surgery, saying no to drugs, saying no to the downtime. So if you have pain, maybe due to arthritis or injury, maybe a touch of both, this is remarkable. It's an option you've got to check out. The consultation's free. All you have to do is call QC Kinetics, 215-999-3000, 215-999-3000. Would you just call QC Kinetics, 215-999-3000? Tell them Dawn sent you.
I can't wait for what's next. Even with higher stroke risk due to atrial fibrillation, an irregular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Eliquis, the Pixaban tablets, reduces stroke risk. It's the #1 cardiologist-prescribed blood thinner.
Don't stop taking prescription Eliquis without talking to your doctor, as this may increase your risk of stroke. Eliquis can cause serious and in rare cases fatal bleeding. Don't take Eliquis if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or have antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or take longer for bleeding to stop. A spinal injection while on Eliquis increases risk of blood clots, which may cause paralysis, the inability to move. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding or unusual bruising, or if you have tingling, numbness, or muscle weakness. It may increase your bleeding risk if you take medicines such as aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners. Tell your doctor about all planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
WPHT, WPHT HD, WOGL HD3 Philadelphia. From the Cherry Hill Volvo Studios, where relationships matter. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
You got the alert this morning. Now get the whole story. Count on NBC 10 News today.
It's more than just headlines. It's news to get you ready for your day.
If you need motivation, here we go. We've got your playbook.
The most accurate hour-by-hour weather forecasts.
Traffic info to get you there and back easier. It's all you need to get up, get ahead, and stay ahead.
Make your mornings count with NBC 10 News today. Count on it.
Hey, this is Norman Chaikin, also known as Norman the Floorman. I was wondering why the baseball was getting bigger and bigger. Then it hit me. No kidding, folks. Whether you need carpet for your home or business, whether it's your boardroom, bedroom, or investment property, I've got just the thing at half price. Whether you visit my showroom on Lancaster Avenue in Bryn Mawr or my warehouse in Conshohocken, you'll save big. Call me at 1-800-220-RUGS. That's Norman Carpet, 1-800-220-RUGS, or visit us at normancarpet.net.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate today at carsforkids.org. Your car, running or not, could be picked up as soon as the next day. No title, no problem. Go to carsforkids.org today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
Hey, it's Rich Zioli. When you're involved in an accident, you need a lawyer to help you maximize your recovery and get the fair value of your case. You need the law offices of Thomas G. Skopanich. My buddy Tom has been serving the greater Delaware Valley for over 25 years, and he's helped many clients. With offices located in Lansdale, Montgomery County, let Tom help you maximize your recovery and get the fair value for your case. Contact Tom at scopelawyer.com or 215-624-2211.
Your official home for Penn State football and basketball is Talk Radio 1210 WPHT and the free Odyssey app. Listen to every Nittany Lions game on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT and the free Odyssey app.
Hey, Paoli. We know your favorite station is Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Big 9 o'clock hour, as always, underway here on a Tuesday morning. It's Kayal and Company, Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. Nick, Dawn, Greg, 855-839-1210, the phone number. What's on the cut sheet, part 2, our morning mystery movie clip, the big 3, all still coming up this hour. 2 stories of crazy claims of racism, and also, you better breathe when you check your email. And keep your passports away from your dogs, especially if you're just freshly married and you're getting ready to go on your honeymoon. We'll get to all of that as we roll on this morning. You can also watch us live on YouTube and, of course, stream us on the free Odyssey app, 855-839-1210. We were wrapping up the 8 o'clock hour before we had to get to one of Dawn's sponsors, and we were talking about Vivek Ramaswamy and his claim and allegation that Newsmax, the right-leaning network, has actually been telling him that if you want more coverage or you want coverage in a more desirable spot beyond midday or being outright denied the coverage, well, it's going to cost you. And we don't necessarily need you to pay us directly, but you kind of have to in the form of advertisements, which we know is a major legal implication and ramification. That's a no-no. Cannot do that in the world of media when it comes to political coverage. I'm not sure if it's apples to apples when it comes to radio, but I do know I've worked at many radio stations in the past where it was political election season, and I believe the general, I'm paraphrasing here, Greg and Don, you probably know this better than me. You have to give every candidate the equal opportunity to.
No, that's not true.
Oh, it's not?
No.
Well, I was way off.
No.
Oh, because I remember when I was on.
It depends on what you do. Like,
okay.
This is an opinion station, so we can have on whoever
Okay,
we want
that's
to,
true.
whenever we want to.
Okay.
Paid shows is a different thing. If you're, if you're paying, like some of the stuff on the weekends, they can't have any candidates on within like 60 days.
Okay.
Before election or something.
Okay.
But as far as this issue, the issue also is if you're paying for something, you have to let the viewer know.
Yeah.
So that's the law. And in
Okay.
television, and I dealt with this at CBS 3. They were when I did the 5 o'clock news with Yuki Washington. And Yuki. And initially there were the reports that we got that some people were paying for some of the reports. That you have to separate that out, or you have to inform the viewer that this is paid content. So the two problems with this, first of all, that Vivek would pay, and that they would not tell the view. They're saying you have to buy ads, but
Right.
essentially you have to be transparent. You can't play these games. It's a big deal on many levels.
Okay.
So and I should correct, and I think Brutnell had pointed out, you're right, Ashley Banfield, News Nation. I had watched, remember the Titan implosion?
Yeah.
I had, Larry had worked with her years ago, so gotten to know her. She did a great job,
Okay.
9/11.
Yes.
She was one of the reporters on the scene,
And
September 11th.
That's obviously different than Newsmax. News Nation is
But I don't watch, I scan, we all did. What people might not realize is we are like crazy people getting up and, either staying up too late and getting up at 4 a.m. and just scanning all news content, BBC, News Nation, Newsmax, Fox, CNN, everything, MSNBC, just to look at what everybody's doing. We do it every day.
Yeah.
So but Ashley Banfield is, all I can say is her interviews, when I see them, she does high quality interviews.
This segment brought to you by Mini of Westchester. Otto's Mini is now Mini of Westchester during the Mini Summer of Drive sales event. Get leases as low as $369 per month on Mini's great selection of new electric models. Visit Mini of Westchester on Route 202 or at miniwc.com. But I feel like lost in all of this when it comes to Vivek and this claim against Newsmax. Dude, you've been everywhere. I mean, I don't watch Newsmax, but every time I turn on the TV, Vivek Ramaswamy is on a network, whether it's Fox, whether it's one of the main cable networks, whether it's Club Random with Bill Maher, whether it's playing tennis on social media. If there's been a guy who's gotten his bang for his buck, so to speak, in terms of media coverage, short of Trump, DeSantis, and Christie, he's right there.
But it's also a programming decision. Like, he's great content. So, like, as a programmer or as a host, you would want him on because he's interesting. You know what I mean? Like, it has nothing to do with what he's running for. I just think it's, I've always said that if this, presidential thing doesn't work out for him, he could be a talk show host.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think that he will, if Republicans get the White House, I think he will be in that administration.
I would agree.
Right?
I think it would be a misstep and a miscalculation not to have him in some solid, identifiable role.
He's impressive. He has a bright future. And maybe that's part of it, that he's safe and easy, right? Because he is somebody who nobody thinks he can win. And in essence, that gives him a lot of free. Wouldn't that be a relief?
It's you don't feel like there's any pressure or stress on you because nobody expects you to do much of anything anyway.
So you just wow everybody and move right along and keep on. And look at him. He's, like Greg says, he's everywhere. He's working hard. He's working it, and he's in his lane. And he's not talking about Trump or even his opponents, because he's just staying in his lane, which is smart, so that he's the one who keeps talking about the issues.
Yep. He's as Rogan said yesterday, he's calculated, he's smart, he's intelligent. I mean, everything he gives you, he does it in a way that is still easily digestible. And if you just think about all the candidates on the Republican side of things, from a public presentation speaking standpoint, I would put him at number 2. Trump is number 1. Trump gets the microphone and totally owns it. After that, Ramaswamy over DeSantis, Ramaswamy over Christie, Ramaswamy over Pence, Haley, Scott, Burgum, Suarez, Elder, on down the list. I know a lot of people think that Chris Christie, because he's a TV guy, he's been on ABC News, that he's a great speaker. And I'm not saying Christie's a bad speaker by any stretch. He's very well spoken. Stylistically, he doesn't give me the same oomph that Vivek does, but I would put him from a sheer speaking standpoint, Vivek over DeSantis all day. In fact, I'm sad.
Really?
I'm sad I don't have a Vivek sounder on my board here, other than Trump saying Ramaswamy. Policy experience, DeSantis trumps Ramaswamy, obviously. But getting on that microphone, which is a big part of the public presentation and communication skill set, I like him. Ramaswamy, for his medical background and law background, he doesn't have the roboticness that DeSantis has. Like you've said that. Like DeSantis has that delivery that kind of annoys you. That like he changed it a little bit. Somebody got in his ear. Vivek, I think Vivek, you can get me in Vivek in a big corporate setting. He would fit the bill. You stick him next to Bill Maher with a gin and tonic and a blunt, he's still fine in that setting.
That's well put. And isn't it interesting that, here's Governor DeSantis, so successful with his background. This is why everybody thought, he's, or not everybody, many thought that DeSantis would give Trump a run for his money as that popular, successful Florida governor. But you're right. He, I don't know, he just seems out of whack. And who knows? We're still early.
And DeSantis is very smart. They're both Ivy League law school guys. They're not stupid. It's DeSantis has that rat-a-tat delivery. Yeah,
and it's always a slogan, whereas Ramaswamy has a way of going beyond the slogan.
Yep.
And he is so eloquent with the way he speaks. He gives you hope. He gives you insightfulness. And as well, he always says something that is deeper. And I think that's difficult to do when you're doing these national, you think about it when he's calling into our shows here or coming in here in person, and how many interviews a day. It's hard to seem fresh, right? As if you're doing this interview, it's the only thing you're doing today.
Yep.
So he's in the moment, but in that moment, he has a way to relate, show empathy, and as well take the issues deeper. I think that he's really impressive. So he's not insulting anybody.
No.
So that no matter he's probably thinking, hey, whoever I'm up here on the stage with, if one of them, any of them gets into the White House, if it's not me, I'm in this administration.
Yeah, it's funny you bring about taking swipes at people. We live in a world where politics have never been more divisive. It is now par for the course to go on the offensive and attack, and then when you get attacked, to go on the counterattack and go on the defensive. And, Joe Biden rips MAGA Republicans. Trump goes after people because he's under attack 24/7. DeSantis is out there saying we're going to slit throats, dead on arrival, cut your head off. DeSantis has moments where I think he's still in the military and speaking like he's in that setting. You go on down the list, and here's Ramaswamy, who doesn't seem to take a swipe at anybody, will willingly engage in debate with you, but let you speak your mind. And it's not to say that there's not other GOP people out there that are very mild-mannered. Mike Pence is a very mild-mannered guy. Mike Pence loves his Constitution, and he's an evangelical Christian. He doesn't have an angry bone in his body, at least I've never seen publicly in his professional setting. But he also doesn't seem to really resonate with many people because of the perception that he turned his back and was not loyal on Trump. So the loyalty thing is absolutely in play here. It's in play with DeSantis because you had to wait your turn, wait till 2028. Pence did not do whatever he was supposed to do that Trump wanted him to do. Yet here's Ramaswamy who's saying, you know what, I'm 38. I feel like I've got a future in politics. I'd like to have a 30-year run. I'm not going to agitate and anger a man who just got 74 million votes 3 years ago. And this would be a great stepping stone and launching point for my own political career. Whether he's vice president, he's a cabinet member, because as I've said, and most people realize this, but life politically will go on after Donald Trump is done with the GOP. And Vivek doesn't want to do what DeSantis apparently has done, and that's anger the base. Because that base, I've said this too. If it's somebody other than Trump in 24 or in 28 and you don't vote for him because they went against Trump, I think that's a losing mentality. But Vivek, from his career standpoint, he's not going to shoot himself in the foot. Somebody who's shot themselves in the foot many times in the past professionally, picking battles, doing radio wars, all this other crap. It's not worth it. And when you're Vivek, who's a year younger than me, you're just like, okay, I'm with Trump on this. And remember, he was the guy in Miami that was out there for the Mar-a-Lago classified documents indictment, saying that he wanted the rest of his GOP brothers and sisters and candidates to be out there to support the guy. So I think he's played it brilliantly. And if you're talking about a stock and what the stock price was on January of 2023 versus now, I think Vivek's stock, other than Trump's, is very valuable right now. So if you guys have thoughts on that, 855-839-1210 is the phone number. We've got a couple of good random stories coming up before we get out of here this morning, as well as what's on the cut sheet part due. Ricky's checking in on Twitter at Rick24731. He says, all of this is great, but at the end of the day, this is Trump's party, and it will be his until he says otherwise. Which, look, I totally agree with that. I know we've heard Trump 2015, 1%. We've heard this respected Iowa pollster talking about 63% Trump, 61% DeSantis. To me, until he's not able to run or he taps out or he runs and loses, this party runs through Trump. Much like the NFC runs through the Philadelphia Eagles and Jalen Hurts, the Republican Party and the GOP runs through Donald Trump. And we'll see. We'll track it, obviously. Debate tomorrow night, both for Trump and for the other GOP candidates. And Trump's deadline to turn himself in, I believe, Friday at noon in Georgia?
Yeah, but he has said that he will turn himself in, quote unquote, on Thursday.
Okay. So tape it with Tucker and then turn yourself in.
Well, no, he taped it already with Tucker.
Okay. Well, I'll air that with Tucker, put out a few truth posts, and then show up in Fulton County.
Big Jim on Twitter says Vivek is a complete fraud and clown. Don't be fooled by him.
Oh,
so there you go.
All right. I mean, there are some people that don't like the medical big pharma kind of background that he has. So I get that, but again,
this guy John Hansen on Twitter apparently is keeping like a running tally of his flip flops on things.
Oh,
Vivek's meaning.
Vivek's a flip-flopper? I didn't know that.
I don't know.
A little John Kerry in him. As a man who wears flip-flops himself, I haven't picked up on that. All right. 9:20 on the dot. It's time to give away some Reading Phillies tickets with our Morning Mystery movie clip.
And now, the Morning Mystery movie clip on Kayal and Company. Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
Before the St. Mary's crisis, no one would have predicted the results of the election that year. No one. And then not long after the election, lo and behold, a miracle. Some believed it was the work of God himself, but it was a pharmaceutical company controlled by certain party members that made them all obscenely rich. A year later, several extremists are tried, found guilty and executed, while a memorial is built to canonize their victims. Fear became the ultimate tool of this government, and through it, our politician was ultimately appointed to the newly created position of High Chancellor.
Think you know what it is? Be call at 12 at 855-839-1210, and you could win this great prize.
Oh, you get a 4-pack of tickets to see the Reading Phillies take on the New Hampshire Fisher Cats. Always love these minor league team names. The New Hampshire Fisher Cats on Sunday, September 3rd at First Energy Stadium in Reading, PA. Caller 855-839-1210. 4-pack of tickets to see your Reading Phillies Labor Day weekend. Kayal and Company, and we're back after this.
Hi, it's John DeMasi, host of Health Watch, Sunday mornings at 8 and again at 4 here on Talk Radio 1210. If you or someone you know has been diagnosed with cancer or undergoing treatments that cause severe fatigue or brain fog, medical hydration may be right for you. Dr. Molly Fantasia of Innovative Medical Associates has more than 30 years experience in helping cancer patients to improve their quality of life.
We believe in medical hydration. We've improved it so much that we are able to help people across the board with challenges before they become chronic.
Nutrients delivered right to the cells support your immune system through surgery, chemotherapy, or wherever you may be on your cancer journey. Visit innovativemedicalassociates.com to schedule a free consultation with Dr. Molly in their Marlton, New Jersey office. And join us on Sunday mornings at 8 and again at 4 for Health Watch to learn more about the benefits of medical hydration for cancer, autoimmune diseases, and more.
Hey, it's Rhea. Keep the summer vibes going with Lexus of Cherry Hill during the Golden Opportunity Sales Event. Over 300 new and certified pre-owns to choose from. Explore the redesigned NX, RX, and Lexus's first all-electric vehicle, the RZ. Being veteran-owned, family-operated, and a 5-time J.D. Power dealer of excellence, Lexus of Cherry Hill guarantees luxury customer service. Talk to Tony and his team to set yourself up with some of the best deals of the year. Visit LexusofCherryHill.com.
Happy 62nd birthday, Granddad.
Thanks, sweetheart.
I got you this.
A mug. Oh, thank you. What does it say? Beware. If you are 60 or older, you may be at increased risk of hospitalization from RSV, respiratory syncytial virus, compared to adults younger than 60.
Not all dangers come with warning labels. Talk to your pharmacist or doctor about getting vaccinated against RSV today. Learn more at bewareofrsv.com. Brought to you by Pfizer.
Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean. Of course I use Mr. Clean Magic Eraser to clean tough messes off my stovetop and bathtub. But then I discovered I can also use it to easily clean my patio furniture and even my shoes. I'm hooked.
And when wipes won't cut it, I use Magic Eraser Sheets. They're thin and flexible erasers, perfect for everyday messes, like gunk on my counters and sinks. They really are magical.
The reviews are in. Mr. Clean Magic Eraser and Sheets make cleaning look easy.
Lose weight and feel great with NJ Diet. NJ Diet uses DNA and blood work to help you lose weight and keep it off. Tune into the radio show Sunday at 2 or visit njdiet.com.
Kids 14 and under can dress like the best with the Trey Turner t-shirt, courtesy of IBEW Local 98. Get yours on Saturday, August 26th at 7:15 when the Phils face the Cardinals. Order tickets now at phillies.com. Kids 14 and under can stay cool in more ways than one with a drawstring cooler bag courtesy of Giant. Get yours on Giant Family Day, Sunday, September 10th at 1:05 when the Phils host the Marlins. Order tickets now at phillies.com.
Comedian Joe Conklin.
Chip Snapper's trying to figure it all out. Let's talk to him. Hello, Chip.
You can always tell the kids from Kensington on the beach in Wildwood. They build them sandcastles and then they board them up with popsicle sticks.
Hire Joe Conklin for corporate events.
We hired Joe for our sales meeting, and he was hilarious. He had everyone cracking up laughing.
Take your next event up a notch. Hire comedian Joe Conklin. Go to joeconklin.com.
GoConklin.com. Blue Star medicated ointment gets 5-star reviews from our loyal users for fast relief of the pain and itch of almost any skin irritation.
Blue Star soothes insect bites and fungal infections.
It really works on the summer rashes I get every year.
I had psoriasis on my elbows. Blue Star worked wonders.
Amazing stuff. Smear a bit on and the itch is gone.
Look for the white box with the Blue Star in the first aid section. Feel Blue Star work fast, or your money back.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Volvo Finance, in concert with Cherry Hill Volvo, is offering lease and cash bonuses up to $2,500. Purchase or lease a new XC40 or XC90 through Volvo Finance and through Cherry Hill Volvo and receive this additional bonus along with the aggressive pricing already posted on our Cherry Hill Volvo website. This is a special offer and it is not to be missed. Volvo Finance and Cherry Hill Volvo and you, a perfect partnership.
Angie makes it easier than ever to connect with skilled pros to get your home projects done well, from repair to remodel. Get started on the app or go to Angie.com. That's ANGI.com.
When you need to know, depend on KYW News Radio 103.9 FM.
One person is dead and 3 people are injured in an Upper Darby shooting Monday night. Firefighters in New Jersey are working to extinguish a wildfire that burned through about 1,500 acres of the Wharton State Forest Sunday and Monday. American Sha'Carri Richardson has won the women's 100-meter world title.
Get the latest anytime on KYW News Radio. Now on Crystal Clear 103.9 FM.
You've never needed us more.
Hey, this is Norman Chaikin, also known as Norman the Floorman. Hey, my first job, my boss told me to have a good day, so I went home. No kidding, folks. Whether you need carpet for your home or business, whether it's your boardroom, bedroom, or investment property, I've got just the thing at half price. Whether you visit my showroom on Lancaster Avenue in Bryn Mawr or my warehouse in Conshohocken, you'll save big. Call me at 1-800-220-RUGS. That's Norman Carpet, 1-800-220-RUGS, or visit us at normancarpet.net.
Gerhardt's Appliances summer sale is heating up with your choice Samsung stainless steel refrigerator specials. If you can't take the heat, come into our kitchen and choose between a Samsung side-by-side with beverage center or a Samsung French door refrigerator. They are both only $9.99. This deal is so hot, it won't last. So hurry into the summer sale today, only at Gerhardt's Appliances, the heart of the kitchen for over 75 years.
You've been wanting to check out that news story that everyone's talking about, but you just can't find the time. That's why the On Deadline podcast is here. We pull together interviews from Odyssey's radio newsrooms across the country and add important context so you can really get the news fast. From wildfires and catastrophes at sea to new laws and presidential candidates, we'll have coast-to-coast coverage for you all in one place. Subscribe to On Deadline on the Odyssey app or wherever you find your podcasts.
Free speech lives here on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
And on the free Odyssey app.
Kayal and Company, 929, Tuesday morning. Good to have you in here on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. Tony Bruno tomorrow at 8:20. Final appearance of the month of August for Bruno. We'll get back with him again right after Labor Day. Looking forward to that. Big day tomorrow, Bruno, and then the debates and Trump and Tucker at night. Should be fun. Right now, though, we have our morning mystery movie clip winner on the line. Pottstown we go. Ben is with us, and he's laughing. He's excited because he's got the winner and he's got the tickets. Ben, what clip did we just play for you, buddy?
V for Vendetta.
That is correct, sir. V for Vendetta. You got the 4-pack of Reading Philly tickets for the weekend of September 3rd.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
You got it, and thank you for listening.
All right, have a good day.
You got it. There he is, Ben from Pottstown. Very chipper, very upbeat.
He was psyched.
I like it. We're giving away good product here.
Yeah.
Battleships. We've got concerts. We've got tickets for baseball. Rumor has it some Disney-type stuff coming up in the month of September.
That's right.
That's going to be a good time.
Yeah.
Going to be a good time as we enter the fall. For fall number 2 of Kayal and Company, by the way.
Yeah.
Coming up on the 1-year anniversary.
Woo.
There you go. A couple of stories to get to before we get to the cut sheet here. Dawn, where was Buddy around the day of June 17th, 2023? I'll let you think about that for a moment. Come up with his alibi, come up with his excuse. In the meantime, let's get to Dawn Stensland's Big 3 at 9:31.
It's the Big 3 at 9 on Kayal and Company.
Big 3, we are talking about, we are sponsored by American Heritage Credit Union. So what's next for 3 New Jersey school districts, this is Monmouth County, who have suffered a defeat in court we're looking to that as their attorneys are speaking out. So what's going on here? This is a state Superior Court judge ruling that 3 Monmouth County school districts may not enforce and the news media reporting their controversial new policies regarding transgender student and the notification rights of their parents. They're calling it controversial because they had superseded what Governor Murphy's administration wants. And these districts in particular had said, no, if your child is changing their name, changing their bathroom policy, or changing their gender and tells the teacher in the school, these districts are saying, you need to tell the parents. But Murphy's administration is saying, no, you don't tell the parents. So because these districts went against Murphy's administration, they were sued by the Murphy administration. This is what's going on. This is a real battle that's happening in New Jersey. So these districts are expressing the fact, first of all, that it wasn't a complete victory because the judge only put a freeze on everything.
Mm-hmm.
So this still has to go to court to face it. But what the judge was saying was that in the meantime, the judge is essentially reinstating what the Murphy administration wants and putting a freeze. In other words, nobody can do anything. They can't alter, they can't tinker with their policy. They have to do what the Murphy administration wants of Governor Phil Murphy until this officially goes to court. Yeah.
And you said Monmouth County?
Yeah.
Okay.
Monmouth County, 3 different districts. So essentially, what's next here is that it'll go to the Office of Administrative Law, and they have within the litigation they hope will be resolved within 180 days. But the attorneys representing the parents and the districts are saying, meantime, they're considering their options, including appealing this judge's ruling and their other options. So parents pushing them to do so. But as of right now, as the school year starts, as school begins, these parents are livid that, in fact, if their child were to say this, that they are cut out of the middle. They're cut out of that conversation. That's what's happening.
It's terrible.
And if you missed Nick's big take on Bucks County, which was great, at 6 a.m., please go back on the Odyssey app and listen to it because it's awesome.
Thank you.
Bidenomics and tough economic times are impacting the way couples show their love and get engaged.
Oh.
So this is a survey from The Knot, K-N-O-T.
Mm-hmm.
And the survey says more than a third of couples who got married last year actually chose a lab diamond, a created diamond, as their engagement ring center stone.
Sticking with the theme of the lab leak. I got it.
Well, what's fascinating, I didn't know much about this, but lab-grown diamonds typically cost 50 to 70% less than those mined diamonds. And so they're chemically and physically identical.
Mm-hmm.
It's very difficult. I think an expert has a device they can actually have a way to tell. The jeweler can tell. Well, if it's Lee Pavorsky, Lee could tell by examining it. But otherwise, nobody knows.
Wow.
And when you think about the Bidenomics economy right now, on the national average, the average cost of a diamond engagement ring, $6,000.
For the average?
The average is $6,000. So they're getting it for a fraction of that by going with the lab created, and you get a bigger stone.
Okay.
So,
wow. So when Trump was president, you went to Jared.
That's right.
And when Joe's president, you can't afford it.
I love it. I love it.
Oh man.
Yeah, this is true. This is our economy. But it's a great story, and it talks about the lab created diamonds. And some people are saying they like it for the ethical reasons because you're not using slave labor and you're not mining for it. So there's like an earthy kind of a reason.
Well, I'll tell you what. Now, I'm assuming you're only referring to female engagement wedding bands because I feel like the men's bands have always been cheaper, especially if there's no diamond. But the trendy, fashionable thing to do and cheaper is to go with kind of the black or the silver charcoal tungsten material.
Which is cool.
Yeah, which has been the common
Is that what
theme.
you had?
I did. I think Stalker has something similar to that as well.
Yeah.
I do, yeah.
It's very cool.
Yeah.
But Greg, your wife has a beautiful diamond, right?
Of course.
So would you ever consider the lab created? I wonder if Anthony Lorenzo, is thinking about.
Yeah. Anthony better stop going to Taps, first of all. We'll save some money there.
I love it. And also today, I should mention that where's my story? The Hers potato chip decision is in. So who is the winner? My kids love these competitions. The flavor du jour, the winner.
Mm-hmm.
And now I lost my script.
Oh, no.
Who's the Hers winner?
All right.
We'll do
Just do it live.
Who's the winner? I've lost my script. I'm so sorry. The Hers winner. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Hers potato chips.
Okay.
I'm trying to find my script and my computer went dead.
That's okay.
But we do have a Hers winner
All
in
right.
any event.
Okay, cool.
All right.
And who that?
Cool.
And who is that winner? Awesome.
It's Doug Burgum.
Okay.
Doug Burgum. We're sponsored by American Heritage Credit Union today, which is the place for first-time home buyers with in-house realtors and a $500 lender credit for new homeowners. Just visit AmericanHeritageCU.org/FTH for all the deets. Loans subject to credit approval, insured by NCUA, equal housing lender, NMLS 433838.
It's the Karopolis tomato pie chip.
Tomato pie.
Is crowned the winner of the Hers flavored by Philly contest.
I love tomato pie. Good tomato. I like the middle slices.
Tomato pie Hers.
Oh, tomato pie flavored chips.
Flavored chips.
I don't know. Whatever happened to just a good solid salt and vinegar chip?
Which I love.
I got kettle cooked. I got the buffalo hot wing. I just want like a basic chip.
It edged out. So
salt and vinegar is not a basic chip.
It's in the barbecue sour cream and onion type.
Sour cream and onion is so gross.
Really?
Oh God.
Wow.
I think it's delicious if it's on the Pringles.
Pringles sour cream and onion was absolutely the go-to.
So good.
So absolutely.
It's addictive.
Pringles?
Yes.
The sodium was
Do
off the
not
charts.
bring that in my
Oh,
house.
my Lord.
Because I can't resist.
What?
They actually had 17,500 votes on this.
Mm-hmm.
And so you had
All right, let's do
barbecued Korean barbecued flavor. That was one of the. So they had all these different contenders, but the tomato pie chip edged out the competition.
I like the honey mustard flavored pretzel bites as well.
Yum.
From I think Snyder's.
Mustard.
Yes.
Salt and vinegar barbecue.
And you get $5,000.
I like sour cream and cheddar.
Sour cream and cheddar.
Yeah. I also like the. I'll give you an exotic one. I like a good like a horseradish wasabi type potato chip.
By the way, Doritos has this this like fire mustard or spicy mustard flavored
Mustard.
flavored chips that don't sound like they'd be good, but they're pretty good.
Yeah,
They're
I go Cool Ranch first, nacho cheese too, and then.
Yeah, the original Dorito is not good. Like,
No?
Cool Ranch has taken over as the best Dorito.
Team Blue Bag, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything
Korean-
else is just terrible.
Yeah, I agree. But the Korean barbecued wing chips, those are good. The roast pork sandwich flavor of hers.
Oh my! See,
That
what I'm
sounds
talking about.
nasty.
Like, if I want a roast pork, I'm just gonna go to
Yeah.
Tony Luke's or something. Hey, I don't need the chip.
Sharon Kennedy said the dill pickle flavor for hers.
Not bad.
Yeah.
Brand power rankings: Hers, Lay's, Ruffles, Kettle Cooked, Pringle. I don't know. That's it. All right. Do I have time for this dog
Sure,
story, or you want to
sure.
get to the cut sheet?
No.
All right. This is great. You got an alibi for Buddy yet?
Oh.
A Boston couple's romantic Italian wedding is now in jeopardy thanks to Chicky. Not Chicky and Pete's, but the couple's year-and-a-half-old golden retriever who got her mouth on the groom's passport and turned it into a chew toy. Now, apparently, Chicky is a Boston media sensation as her owner spent the entire weekend scrambling for the solution. The wedding is less than 2 weeks away, and raising awareness to their problem in what appears to be a coordinated effort to get help from the U.S. government. The government never colludes, by the way. We know that. To save the wedding. The groom, Donato Frattaroli, now waits to find out if they'll be traveling to Italy for his own wedding. Quote, it was not good. Like, it was very stressful. The dog's owner, Magda Masri, said of finding out that her husband's future passport was destroyed. When you looked at the passport, it didn't look like it was super damaged. It was very important, and it was a page, like all of the personal information, completely torn up. His picture page was torn up. The barcode on the back of the passport was torn up, the bride added. Now it comes down to the week of hell as the bride and groom face a Friday deadline to get a new passport. What will happen if the U.S. State Department can't make a new passport in time. Donato says he'll stay home. As somebody who got married and took my honeymoon to Italy, who did have a yellow lab less than a year old in 2008 when I got married before my honeymoon, I can relate to all of this except for the fact my dog Saban did not eat the passport.
Oh.
I tell you what, if he did, there'd be issues.
But you can pay more, because I've done this before, obviously pre-pandemic, but you can pay that, it's like a $60 fee to expedite it. But I don't know, I mean, they do overnight mailing, and I've even known people who, the Philadelphia office is actually fantastic. It's
Really?
known as being faster. So I've even known people who traveled from a different state to come here to get and pay more and get the expedited.
Wow.
So there is a pathway that they could do this, and they're smart to get on national media and try to get some help.
Yeah.
You know?
I would think the government and documents expedited fast and in a hurry doesn't ever really seem like a thing, but you say otherwise. But you got to pay an extra fee
You
for
do,
that.
yep, you do pay the extra fee and explain the circumstances, and you are at the mercy of the person.
Mhm.
But the good news here, he has a passport, because obviously if your passport expires within 6 months, you have to get a new passport. So the fact that he's got a valid passport
Mhm.
right now that's golden right there. I think there's a pathway.
Golden retriever
hope
as
alive.
well. No pun intended.
You know, and the bottom line, don't leave your passport laying around, buddy.
Yeah, don't leave it out for Chicky to chew
No.
on.
Don't, why don't you take your shoes off at the door, put them up in the cubby where they belong, and keep the passport in a safe place.
Yeah, and then you can, when the dog doesn't listen, you can yell at him.
Do you hear
me? Do you hear me, Chicky?
Don't yell at the dog. It's not the dog's fault.
You're right.
He thought it, and it probably, I don't know, did it have a strange smell that, you know, because of the material or something? What attracted him to it?
Smelled like sour cream and onion potato chips.
He was eating the
There you
big
go.
callback.
There you go.
He's eating the hers.
Yes. All right, 9:43 Tuesday morning. Let's get to Greg Stocker's What's on the Cut Sheet Part 2.
On the cut sheet.
Part 2. Sponsored by Millville Army Airfield Museum. Help honor World War II aviation heritage at Millville Army Airfield in New Jersey. America's first defense airport and gunnery school for P-47 Thunderbolt fighter pilots. Admission is free. Schedule a group tour online at p47millville.org and become a member now. FEMA Director Deanne Criswell said that Joe Biden is satisfied with the Maui wildfire response. So everything is good. Cut 6.
Can you give us a sense for how the president believes the response has been so far? Is he happy with all of it? Are there things that he believes should have been done differently or done in a separate manner, or has this been something that he has been pleased with?
Yeah, I continue to provide the president updates on what the response efforts are, and he always says, what else can we do? And we continue to move more resources in. I think based on the updates and the communication that I have had with the president, he is satisfied with our response, but he will always push us to make sure that we are doing as much as we can and bring in more resources if needed to support this community.
Terrible question, because it was a leading question with the end being, or is he pleased with it? Don't give them the wiggle room and the option to bail out of that with the softball answer. And yeah, I guess he is satisfied because it took him 13 days, and remember he told us he just didn't want to get in the way.
By the way, we're 19 likes away from 200. So if you're watching right now on YouTube, youtube.com/@1210WPHT, please hit the like button and get us to 200. Can you be the 200th like for us? Mayorkas. It looks to me like Alejandro Mayorkas is leaving a little wiggle room to throw the Biden administration under the bus. And when I say the Biden administration, I know he's part of it, but following the president, throwing the president under the bus. He said this when defending the federal response to the Hawaii wildfires. This is cut 8.
Our footprint is extraordinary there. We are there now. And we will be there tomorrow, and we will be there throughout the long-term recovery. I think that is the most important message, and we are following the president's immediate direction to us. As soon as the fires broke out, he directed FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Administration, part of the Department of Homeland Security, to respond in full force immediately, and that is indeed what we have done.
He is now dubbed slow to draw Joe. He's slow to deal with spy balloons. He's slow to deal with train derailments, with wildfires, natural disasters, flooding, the southern border. You name it, Joe's on a delay. And Joe's going to get there eventually. My question would be, Mr. Mayorkas, would you consider this a crisis?
Well, my question is, how I started this, is that does it seem like he is throwing Biden under the bus or leaving himself wiggle room because he says, and I quote, "We are following all the president's immediate direction to us."
Yes, it is throwing him under the bus because there hasn't been anything immediate about the response or the direction of this.
Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds said with Trump not debating or, really showing up in Iowa, she says that voters won't give him a pass. They expect him to be here. This is Kim Reynolds.
No, I think they expect him to be here. They want to interact. They want to interact with all of the candidates. We had great turnout at the Fireside Chats. I had a lot of Iowans and people outside of the state come up and just say thank you for doing that. It was a great opportunity to hear from the candidates. And so, Iowans take it very seriously. They're very knowledgeable, and they want to interact with the candidates. And so he was on the fairgrounds. He just chose not to do the Fireside Chats. But I think it was a great opportunity for Iowans to continue to hear from our candidates.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely want to interact with these candidates. That's a given. But I was just thinking about this. Of all the different states, is there a state that you have less interest in ever visiting than Iowa?
No, it's a good point. I'm not sure why they still...
I was just there, you guys. That was the place of the
how was
National Summer Olympics.
Was it good?
Beautiful Des Moines.
Des Moines?
Yeah. Great.
I'm trying to think of what could be worse than Iowa. What state just hearing the name of the state, what gives me less excitement than Iowa?
That's a great question.
Indiana? Nebraska? One of the Dakotas?
Nebraska. Nebraska's that's a snooze town.
John Denver was full of it.
Yep. You know what's in Iowa? The Herbert Hoover Presidential Library and Museum, which we visited.
Pretzel Time on YouTube says a great Delaware. Delaware, we're biased because it's the next state over.
Yeah.
Here in Philly, but
at least they have a beach.
I love Delaware.
I know.
It's a little, it's a little low energy.
It is, but what's worse than Iowa?
I'm in Delaware.
Who wants to get some corn stalks?
Iowa is very low energy.
Indiana.
It's close.
Because we had to drive, so I'm thinking of the states. Indiana.
All those Big Ten schools. Indiana, Iowa, Wisconsin.
Flat.
With dairy farmers.
Yeah.
Ooh, cheese.
Like Pennsylvania, what a beautiful state. Yeah. Drive through the mountains and then, you know what I mean?
Pennsylvania's a little low energy.
That's why I left here 5 years
Yeah,
ago.
no,
Pennsylvania's beautiful.
Pennsylvania's a little low energy.
It does.
It is.
I disagree.
If you're from like California or like, okay, I won't even say that. If you're from, I don't know, Washington State or something like that, there's no reason to come to Pennsylvania.
Right.
Like, oh, Pennsylvania, cool.
It rains in Washington State 270 days a year. I'm telling you, man, I'm bipolar when it comes to weather. I hate cold. I hate rain, which is why I want to be like, in Florida. I know it rains there, but 5-minute storm.
I don't know. People from all over the country love to come here, and friends and family. Pennsylvania, think of Pennsylvania in the fall.
Mm-hmm.
We are known for our fall foliage.
Yes.
We go to the mountains, the Poconos.
Aaron has a good one. Oklahoma. Yeah, there's no.
It could be my sister. She married her husband from Oklahoma.
Oh.
It could be. I don't know.
Is Aaron's last name? Well, I don't want to give her last name.
Is it ERIN?
No.
That's
Oh,
not
yeah.
her.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, then it might be her. Upon further review, we'll investigate and we'll wrap up Kayal and Company after this. Stay right there.
I'm getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20.
So am I, because I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
I'm asking about Prevnar 20 because there's a chance pneumococcal pneumonia could put me in the hospital. Age 65 or older, you may be at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine, a vaccine that can help protect against pneumococcal pneumonia in just one dose. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. Side effects include pain and swelling at the injection site, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
I want to be able to keep my plans.
So I'm asking my doctor about getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20.
It was the day we all feared. The stock market went down and then kept going.
2008, when the markets lost over 50% of their value. But that was over a decade ago. Today, it's not so painful. Jim Cipriotti at Retire Ready Financial Group calls that financial amnesia. When you forget the pain of losing half your savings, and more importantly, ignore the fact that it can happen again. A complimentary consultation from Retire Ready Financial Group can show you where you stand now before the next market pullback. You're much closer to retirement than you were in 2008. Don't let it happen again. Call Jim Cipriotti at 610-894-7415 for a complimentary consultation. That's 610-894-7415 or online at retirereadyfg.com. You can forget where you put your keys, your glasses, or even your car. Don't forget to protect your retirement. Investment advisory services offered through Retire Ready Wealth Management, a registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through James V. Cipriotti, NPN number 2083768.
Hi, this is Dom Giordano. Do you feel like you're always looking for another energy boost? Then try Rescue Orosine from Rescue Natural Supplements. As we age, our bodies don't tend to produce enough natural fuel to get rid of that stubborn feeling of fatigue. Well, Rescue Orosine provides just that. Orosine helps by boosting energy production at the cellular level while also supporting a healthy heart and blood pressure. Right now, our exclusive radio listeners can buy one bottle of Orosine, get another one free. Just use the code FUEL when placing your order. Call today, 800-26-ALIVE, 800-262-5483. Speak to a knowledgeable product consultant or use the code online when you visit res-q.com. That's res-q.com. Make sure you mention the code FUEL, F-U-E-L, when you call, or use the code at the online checkout. Again, use the code FUEL when buying a single bottle of Orosine to receive a second bottle free.
Wells Fargo gives you access to direct deposit funds up to 2 days early.
Plus, if you look at the X and Y axes...
What if everything came 2 days early? Like the weekend.
Well, that was a pleasant surprise.
You can't get everything early, but when it comes to direct deposits, you can with Wells Fargo.
Visit wellsfargo.com/get-early to learn more. Terms and conditions apply. Not all direct deposits are eligible. Early availability is not guaranteed and may vary between deposits from the same payer. Wells Fargo Bank N.A., member FDIC.
Hi, I'm Rachel, and I have a serious heart condition called hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, or HCM. Some symptoms include being short of breath, feeling tired, or having dizziness or chest pain. I still had symptoms on my beta blocker, so I asked my cardiologist about any treatment advances. It was a breakthrough for me. That's why I'm working with Bristol Myers Squibb to raise awareness about HCM and to help others like me. Talk to your cardiologist today. You may be glad you did.
Sponsored by Bristol Myers Squibb.
Hey, Riverton. We know your favorite station is Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Kayal and Company, 9:55 Tuesday morning. The Dawn Show coming up at the top of the hour, and we find out right now what she has in store from 10 to noon.
On this Tuesday, so we'll bring you all the latest as far as the campaign, Trump, Biden, and locally here in Philadelphia. We have some political news as well, talking about the mayor's race and will there be a mayoral debate. Coming up at 10:15, we have a great guest really breaking down, talking about when a crisis like Hawaii hits or in Southern California and how thousands of pets are missing. And sometimes those pets make their way here. We've seen that before, which really spikes up the adoptions. And we know that for the SPCA, they've said they're full. So they need those adoptions. So we're going to have a great guest talking about that, what you can do, but also creating a crisis for pets and pet owners. And then coming up at 11 a.m., we'll talk all things Philadelphia, Pennsylvania with Christine Flowers. There was also another school board meeting yesterday, a transgender tennis coach. The coach's contract not renewed here in Pennsylvania, and this is a huge issue as some of the coach's supporters say it's a case of discrimination. It's now beginning to make national news. So we'll have that and so much more coming up.
Could explain why Vivek was on the tennis courts yesterday as well. All right, Greg Stocker, who won Twitter today?
Who won Twitter?
Sponsored by Rhino Shield. I'm going to give it to Eric the Red. We were talking about scents and urine on your neck. I don't know. This is a great hunting season coming up, and there's going to be a shortage of fox urine to cover scents while I'm out for whitetail, just because they think it's Dior.
Okay. Dior.
Dior.
That's the cologne I actually have.
Rhino Shield can make your next paint job your last. Rhino Shield protects your home, is waterproof, affordable, and looks great on any exterior surface. Call John Gilgy today to save an incredible 20%. 844-RHINO-99. That's 844-RHINO-99.
All right, that'll do it for us. Stay tuned. The Dawn Show is next. We're back tomorrow morning at 6. Tony Bruno at 8:20. Until then.
Good night, everybody.
Do you have over $10,000 in credit card